Skills? Join the Prize Picks community of more than 7 million football fans who have already signed up. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/primetime and use code PRIMETIME. That's code PRIMETIME at prizepicks.com/primetime for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Is your cell phone or iPad cracked, broken, or not working right? Don't let the big carrier stores sucker you into a new $1,100 device. Let XI Repair fix your device today. XI Repair fixes cell phones, computers, laptops, iPads, game consoles, drones, and more. Their certified technicians fix hundreds of devices every day. When your device needs care, call XI Repair, 334-777-1234, or Google XI Repair.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's Conversational Radio Show. It's news and views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
I'll never forget my old dad. When these things would happen to him, the things he'd say to me.
What did he say?
What the hell are you doing in the bathroom day and night? Why don't you get out of there? Give someone else a chance.
Welcome into the program, folks. It's one of Jack Campbell's favorite clips he would often send me, that Young Frankenstein. And I want to start today, welcome into the program, by reading a little something that I wrote. If you have not heard the news, unexpectedly, I got the news yesterday morning that Jack Campbell, my good friend, my co-host for a while, he passed away. And so there are a lot of different ways you can react to that. But I decided to try to process something by writing some words down. So in a second, we'll get to phone calls. 272-9228 if you want to line up sharing stories of Jack here today. The next time you see an older man sitting alone at your local watering hole, say hello, share a drink. He may be a long-lost friend waiting for ears to hear stories he hasn't shared in years. You never know what stories a man has to tell, nor how much longer he has to tell them. But once you take the time, you'll never forget. For me, that man was Jack Campbell. By a strange twist of fate, Jack and I became good friends over the last 4 years. On paper, it shouldn't have worked. Yet it did. "I'm all you got," he'd jokingly say on a regular basis. "I know. That's why I'm worried," I'd respond with a chuckle. Our friendship began as talk radio colleagues, thrown together to co-host an exploded and sinking ship of a show. Yet we managed to stay afloat, although some of our, listeners may disagree. Throughout those many shows and many more epic dinners, Jack would relay stories from his life and political career, introducing me to friends old and new. Jack never forgot a face and very rarely a name. He had a mind like a steel trap and an immense feline curiosity to boot. Just as rarely did he go unrecognized by past colleagues and friends. Very few dinners together passed without at least one former political acquaintance, fraternity brother, or drinking buddy stopping by our table to reminisce. Needless to say, Jack Campbell was quite unforgettable. As the song says, those kind of cars don't pass you every day. When Jack suffered a stroke 2 years into our working relationship, he was no longer able to talk on the radio. Like many stroke victims, he went through the arduous process of relearning how to speak. A man known for his wit and one-liners, Jack's voice tragically never fully returned to form. Yet he did improve enough to carry on our conversations. Our dinners continued too, along with the stories and uproarious laughter. Wherever we went, Jack Campbell was holding court. Didn't matter if his audience was young or old, rich or poor, black or white, stranger or friend, political friend or foe. Jack would always be armed with some old Montgomery story, transgressive quip, inside joke, or well-timed sound effect. Indeed, Jack was the only man I've known who could make blue-haired Southern ladies laugh at blue humor. I guess all those old women knew what we all did, that every indelicate, indecent, insulting, body, or biting remark he made had a twinkle of mirth and an offer of good cheer. Jack loved to laugh and inspire others to do the same. He loved a good joke, a good drink, and a good time. We would often randomly swap video clips from Mel Brooks flicks as well as stand-up comedy routines from Rodney Dangerfield and Norm Macdonald. He would get excited showing me old Carson-era Tonight Show appearances by the likes of Don Rickles and Joan Rivers, while I would play the latest Tim Dillon rant for him. Comedy, more than politics, was our common language. And Jack had a remarkable sense of humor. I mean, folks, any man who would name his pet beagle Alice just so he could pretend to be Jackie Gleason in The Honeymooners, whenever that dog would act up, he'd say, "To the moon, Alice," as the dog would bay, sit there and bay, should be, well, that type of guy should be in the Sense of Humor Hall of Fame. I think Jack was. Jack not only relished being in on the joke, he also loved being in the know or inside the room when it came to Alabama politics. He genuinely loved people and loved being on the team for the latest campaign. In politics, 98% of the game is who you know, not what you know. And Jack Campbell knew people in politics all too well. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Over these last 4 years, I would often hear him boast to politicians with one of his favorite one-liners: "I know where all the bodies are buried, because I'm the one who dug the holes." Rest in peace, Jack. I will never forget you. Years from now, when maybe I'm that older man sitting alone in a local watering hole, perhaps someone will say hello and stop to listen to some of those same lines we once shared. I had dinner with Jack on Friday. He was his old self. Raising hell. Often a lot of things he would say to me and to staff there. We went to Midtown Pizza Kitchen, as we often did. Often what he would say there, I can't repeat on air. But he did like saying, "You freak. What are you doing, you freak?"
Oh, yeah.
And a few other words. Eddie, good to have you here today. Because I don't know, this is not an easy thing by any means.
By no means.
Do you remember something in particular when I say Jack Campbell? Is there a memory that just jumps off the brain?
There's not one in particular one, and that's mainly because, and I thought about this a lot today, it's mainly because whenever I saw Jack, we always had a moment. And it was just a great guy.
Yeah, it never went without. It was never just a hello.
No.
It was always at least a hello freak.
Among other things, yeah.
Among other things, and hand signs.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, folks, if we were sitting here having this conversation, I can see the ghost of Jack Campbell right now doing this in the background.
Oh, yeah.
He was always making jokes. Always cracking people up. And, yeah, he would get away with stuff that I could never get away with. And he was just that type
That was
of
Jack.
guy.
He could get away with it. I mean, and everybody accepted Jack for Jack and knew. To me, he was just one of the just boisterous people that always had something funny. Even at his own expense, he would make jokes. And he lit up the room. He held court wherever he went.
Yeah, he really did. And, I don't, there are going to be a lot of tears here, but I also want to remember the funny things, because Jack Campbell, it was his laugh, it was his sense of humor that I think won the day. And, he had been on all sides of different political issues and worked behind the scenes. I'm not naive to everything Jack did in politics, like I said, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But it was a heck of a career, and I did learn a lot from that guy.
Yeah.
And just in terms of how he worked with people, how he dealt with people, was a very real thing. So, folks, if you want to call in with memories of Jack Campbell, 272-9228. That number, 272-9228. What I'm going to do is reset the table here. We'll come right back after this.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Picture this. A serene, tranquil resting place surrounded by nature's beauty. A place where memories are cherished and loved ones are forever remembered. We're talking about your final resting place, and it's never too early to start planning for it. Pineview Memorial Gardens in Wetumpka has been family owned and operated for over 55 years. We understand the importance of pre-need planning. You can make decisions that reflect your personal wishes. You can choose the perfect location, whether it's a serene garden, a peaceful mausoleum, or a place in our cremation wall. Pre-need planning alleviates the burden from your loved ones during a time of grief. By planning ahead, you can secure today's prices, protecting yourself and your family from future cost increases. So why wait? Contact Pineview Memorial Gardens in Wetumpka today. Your final resting place should be a reflection of your unique journey. Take control of your future and make pre-need planning a priority. Pineview Memorial Gardens in Wetumpka, where memories live on.
Hi there, I'm Madeline Cannon with Alabama Home Mortgage. Getting pre-approved is the first step towards home ownership. People are often scared or nervous about taking that first step, but I'll tell you, it's nothing to be scared of. At Alabama Home Mortgage, we will take the first step and every step along the way with you. Call us at 567-4223. We will gather the information needed to tell you exactly what you qualify for. After a call to Alabama Home Mortgage, you will know what price point to shop for, what down payment is required, if any, and what your monthly mortgage payment will look like. We take all the guessing out of it. Then, when you find the house you want to make your home, you are ready to make an offer. Along with your offer, you will submit your Alabama Home Mortgage pre-approval letter. This shows sellers that you've already taken the steps necessary to ensure that you qualify to purchase their home. Wait no longer. It's time to take that first step together. Call me at 567-4223 or start the process online at myalabamahomemortgage.com.
That's Alabama Home Mortgage because, folks, there is a difference in mortgage companies. NMLS 1586-36-8, Equal Housing Lender.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state, while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com.
Live local talk. The River Region's only 24-hour News Talk FM station. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Welcome back to the show. 272-9228. Especially if you go to the front of the line if you have comments, memories for Jack Campbell. I'm your host, Joey Clark. Eddie Bader in the house.
In the house?
We scheduled it before I heard the news. Dalton Dismukes is in the studio. Dalton, you all right today?
Yeah. You know, hate to lose Jack. I mean, you know, since moving to Montgomery, he was the voice, you know.
Right. And I'm sure you ever had the chance to sit down, really get to talk to him?
Sit down. He never seemed super happy with me. We were on opposite sides sometimes. We're on the same side many times. I owe a lot of what I know to Jack.
There you go.
A lot more than I want to admit.
There you go. Well, let's go to Quay. And Quay, you actually you helped Jack for years. You worked for him as a caregiver. And Quay, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Yeah, Jack. This is hard. Jack was everything to me. Jack was family. He was family to my children. I have 4 children, and it was oftentimes coming to Montgomery from Prattville, you know, we used to call him Jack Jack. My kids actually gave him that name when they were younger, a few years back. And he was just always the life of us. You know, it wasn't a time you was going to go see Jack and he didn't have you laughing about something. If those walls in his house could talk, man, we really had a time. And I want to be able to remember him for that. And it's just hard because we honestly had this bond and this connection. I'm talking about, it was outside of caregiving, you know.
Right.
It was, hey, you want to go get some food? I know Montgomery now, the way I know Montgomery because of him. I'm originally from California, but it was times we would just get in the car and, you know, just drive around, and he was just an amazing person, and I'll never forget him.
Well,
never.
He would do that with me too. I think that's how he picked up the nickname Jack Quest. He knew where everybody lived, where every street led. Yeah.
And he would laugh. I drive a Honda, and he knew everybody. And he goes, "You're gonna take your car up to my Honda, and give them a piece of your mind." And some of the stuff I can't say on air, but it was no filter to what me and Jack said to each other, and it would come off as offensive to someone else, but to us, it was funny. It was funny. We said whatever we wanted to say, you know, and I'm going to miss that tremendously. I really am.
Well, I really do appreciate you calling in, Quay, and all you did for him. And, well, let's stay in touch. Thank you, Quay.
I'm sorry.
Let's stay in touch. Appreciate you. Thank you.
No problem. Bye-bye.
Again, 272-9228 if you want to get in on the program. Honestly, I haven't even looked at the news that much. It's the latest. New polls are out showing Trump leading Biden. Are those actually going to be the nominees? One thing I've been putting up on the screen, folks, is Jack and that GOP dinner we just had. Jack got to meet Trump. Got to actually take a photo with him and, you know, at this point, Jack had one leg. He had trouble getting around, and I believe he told me that Trump said to him, "Hey, you can lean on me. Here, we're good." And I'm like, "What did you say to him?" "I didn't have time. I just said thank you." And so you can see it there on the live stream, folks. Jack there with Trump. That was just a month or two ago, man. And like I said, this is not something I expected to happen this weekend. 272-9228. Who do we have here, Eddie?
Billy Ray.
Billy Ray, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry, Joey. Hey, Joey and Eddie. First of all, let me say my condolences to Jack. The one thing that really attracted me to Joey was when Jack was on with you. The guy may have had a different political perspective than everybody, but the one thing I can say, the guy was always respectful and polite. And he really has some great stories to tell. I really like the guy, and again, my condolences to you and your News and Views family, Joey.
Well, thank you, Boogie Ray. Good to hear from you, sir. Thank you for that. 272-9228. Oh, yeah, like, and Jack was, one part of his story is he was a political animal through and through.
Wasn't he, though?
And he loved him some Trump, something fierce.
Oh, yeah.
He insists to this day it was stolen. Obviously, nobody buys that 81 million votes. He believed all these things, and he would argue with his friends that, you know, go back to fraternity days, and they definitely, you know, Democrats and all sorts of folks who disagree, but he would always, you know, engage with a joke and a smile, and somehow that never quite went off the rails. And if you just heard Quay there, folks. Yeah, Jack, if you were just eavesdropping, it's like, what is that man saying? But, you know, if you can't insult your friends, who are you going to be able to insult? When you feel so comfortable with somebody. And this is, like, one story I remember Jack telling me, and it's how he broke the ice when he first started working for the Republican Party of Texas. And he just, first day, shows up, gets in the elevator, and there's like 3 or 4 people in the elevator, and he just lets out, with his mouth, a loud... The whole elevator breaks down laughing. He was friends with those people in that elevator for the rest of his life. That's the type of guy he was, where I must say, folks, I'm very shy in public, very reserved, often dour, kind of a human Eeyore. And Jack Campbell was the opposite. Like, he would just fearlessly crack a joke with people you didn't even know. You don't know how it's going to land, but he would just put it out there. And I think that speaks a little bit to his genius and how he knew people. And seriously, when he said, I knew where all the bodies were buried, yeah, he certainly did. Some stories he shared with me about past Alabama politics and political fights. I think one of his greatest moments is telling Judge Hooper that he had won after that election, and it was litigated. And I think Judge Hooper was gardening, kind of waiting on the news, trying to relax. And Jack was the one who got to show up and tell him, "We won. You're the judge." Great moments like that definitely come to mind. Let's go to Doug from Titus. Hey, Doug.
Hey, Joey.
Hey.
My condolences.
Thank you.
Damn it, man. I can't believe it. Jack Campbell was the one on his radio show, or y'all's radio show, that predicted that Katie Britt would be our next senator. He was so well connected. He knew every street in Montgomery. And he was a card, and he could make anybody laugh. But that son of a bitch is making me cry right now. I just wanted to call in. I know that you cherished your time with him. I know y'all did a lot of dinner dates after he lost his leg. They thought he was going to take over the radio show. I was so glad when Jack kicked him to the curb. He was such an arrogant son of a bitch. Most lawyers are. Mm-hmm. I probably shouldn't even be saying this. I would listen to him, but I didn't like him. He's just an arrogant lawyer, and he never asks a question that he doesn't already know the answer to.
Yeah.
But anyway, I got to go and recompose myself. I got to load a truck full of rocks. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you, Doug.
Somehow figure out how to have a good week.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you, Doug. No, and we've got plans. I believe, folks, that I can now confirm there is a funeral mass at 2 in the afternoon at St. Peter's Catholic Church, downtown Montgomery. Again, it's Friday, a full funeral mass at 2 on Friday. And we're trying to put something together after that into the evening where people can stop by, and where you can tell some real Jack Campbell stories, uncensored, so to speak.
Right.
And uncut. We're still working out the details there, but I think we're going to put on a visitation reception after the funeral mass. I appreciate all the calls and all the love people have sent to me, all the texts, and everybody sharing their own piece and memory of the one, the only Jack Campbell. And 272-9228, if you want to join in on the show. And throughout the show, throughout the week, if something hits your mind about Jack, you're more than welcome to call and talk about it. But the shows also must go on, and we will be covering the news here before too long. And in fact, because the show must go on, we still got these things called ads.
Yeah, we got a few of those, Joey.
Now, here's the deal, folks. It's not magic. When I do what we call a live read like this, where I'm actually live on the radio talking about somebody, it's not like I'm doing some hypnotism thing. No, here's the deal. What I'm about to offer you, do you need it? And if you do need it, we can say these are the best folks in the game. These are some incredible folks. And I'm not even thinking of anybody in particular, but you know who's bringing you this part of the program?
Who's that?
Pest Pro Services.
But of course.
And the best in the game.
They are the best in the game.
You knew them long before they joined the show.
Oh, yeah. They are the best in the game. They've helped me out. I couldn't tell you how many clients of mine out, thousands of clients to this point. Some of the greatest people I know. They do what they say and say what they do.
Well, and I know they've grown leaps and bounds in the last few years in this weird economy, and it's because of how good Ashley and the team she has put together are. So you can always call up Pest Pro Services whether you're dealing with, you just want an everyday pest control company. They can get you on a quarterly schedule.
Right.
Or it could be you want to get rid of mosquitoes or deal with termites, whether preventing those termites or getting them if they've already hit your property. And, of course, any sort of emergency problem like, a huge wasp nest or something there on your porch. They can help you with all those things here at Pest Pro Services. So give them a call, 265-9990. That's 265-9990. You can always go to ppsriverregion.com or just search the Book of Faces for Pest Pro Services. When you want to know, call a pro, Pest Pro Services. And be sure to tell them that you heard about them here from Joey and Eddie on News and Views in the afternoon. We'll be right back.
Not know whether he's coming or going. But whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings, 6 till 9, and afternoons, 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
Sweetheart?
Yeah?
Well, I've been thinking, I'm tired of this house.
What? You want to move?
Yeah, but we'd have to do some updating, to get top dollar.
Updating really does make a lot of sense, especially when you're talking about lighting. That's where Crosby Electric comes in. They'll help you choose a stunning pendant fixture over your bathroom sink, dramatic flush mount lighting over your kitchen island, maybe some LED panels to backlight your countertops. Energy-saving LED lighting has really come down in price. Or how about a new ceiling fan that moves air more efficiently than fans built only 10 years ago? The bottom line, updating your lighting almost always delivers a full return on your investment.
Well, sweetheart, the house looks fabulous.
Yeah.
Guess I'll put out the for sale sign.
Wait.
What?
I don't wanna move.
Find out how to turn your house into the home you'll never want to leave. Visit crosbyelectric.com or call 272-2085.
Looking for insurance, or maybe you're just not satisfied with your current carrier? How does quality coverage with local service and competitive rates sound to you? The folks at Stark Agency offer just that. Whether you need insurance for your business, car, home, or life, Stark Agency can help. As an independent insurance agency with over 20 of the top insurance carriers, Stark is sure to find the perfect match for you and your loved ones. Visit their site at starkagency.com or give them a call at 334-263-5535 for a quote today.
Hello, this is Eddie Bader with eXp Realty, and I want to tell you about advertising with Blue Water Broadcasting. I made the decision to advertise with Blue Water about 2 years ago and have seen the results daily. The Blue Water team has truly become family to me and always ready to help.
Radio works. It's as simple as that. Call us to find out how radio can work for your business. Blue Water Broadcasting. Local folks helping local business.
Rich Thomas Weather is brought to you by JB Windows and Siding. Call Jones Brothers. You'll be glad you did.
JB Windows and Siding has what you're looking for. Rich Thomas Weather.
We had a beautiful weekend, but we've got a few weather changes on the way. Not a big deal. Today, another warm day with a high temperature near 90, partial sunshine, at least a small chance of some afternoon or evening showers or thunderstorms. Here and there, they will be random. Tonight, slow, not as cool, down to about 69. Upper 80s tomorrow with scattered random storms possible, especially in the afternoon and evening hours. Perhaps a little bit more numerous on Wednesday with a high around 86. And a few leftover showers perhaps on Thursday. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Web Bobo with Capital Tractor. The weather's always changing. Hot as blazes 1 minute, raining cats and dogs the next. What doesn't change is the dependability of Kubota's L-Series compact tractors to handle it all. Kubota and Capital Tractor, Montgomery, Brundage, and Greenville.
On FM, on your smartphone, and online, the River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. I'm your host, Joey Clark. Eddie Bader in the house with me. Also have Dalton Dismukes in the studio. And one thing I got into in the thing I wrote about Jack is how much he loved not just his own jokes, but comedy in general. And I swear, folks, he would constantly quote to me a few movies. It would be mostly Mel Brooks, Blazing Saddles, Young Frankenstein for sure. He loved quoting Rodney Dangerfield so often, especially to servers when he didn't think he was getting enough attention, no respect. And, I mean, if you're thinking about Jack Campbell and you want to do so in a fun way, commemorate him, just put on Young Frankenstein or Blazing Saddles tonight and enjoy the comedy. Now, again, I haven't even really looked at the news, and somebody just said, hey, well, Jack was the one who called Katie Britt's going to be the next senator. I don't know if y'all seen it, but there was a write-up in Politico magazine that was glowing, fawning. It was about, and not short by any means. I thought it was actually backed up with a lot of good facts and developments happening there in Washington, D.C. Here's the long and short of it. Very, very swiftly, Senator Katie Britt is climbing up the Republican Party ranks. Like, they had quotes directly there. For anybody who kind of knows the inside a little bit, the two guys who are kind of in the running to replace McConnell are John Thune, and Cornyn. And both of them are quoted in there talking about how she's going to be a leader someday. You've got Democrats singing her praises in the piece. And the main thrust of what Jonathan Martin puts out there, and I'd love y'all's take on this, is can she be the leader of a post-Trump GOP? Now, I don't know if that's how I think Senator Britt would even phrase it. I don't think she would. But I kind of see that she is riding this line where she can talk hardcore conservative things, but she also can work that inside game where you're building relationships, you're working with folks on legislation where you agree. So I'll start with you, Dalton. Are you surprised by her mediocre, rise?
I'm really not. I mean, she's. It's kind of hard to put into words, but I mean, you just said it. She knows the conservative side. She knows how to talk the talk. But, walking that walk in D.C. specifically and coming back and still traveling and connecting with the folks who elected you, that's kind of odd, right? So when you see that, to me, it's not surprising. I mean, she's kind of a phenomenon of Republican politics right now, and I think what you said, can she be a leader in the post-Trump era? I mean, yeah, it may be a post-Trump era at some point, but I think she's rather going to be the leader in the new Republican era.
Right.
You see where I'm going with that?
Yeah. Well, and I think the big flaw here, what I would criticize Jonathan, it's a very well-written piece, but I would criticize his premise. Leave Trump out of it, man.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Eventually, whether it's a year and a half from now or 10 years from now,
right?
The world, not the Republicans or the Democrats, the world is going to eventually have to move past Trump, right?
Right.
And I think Katie Britt is kind of that speck of light that you're starting to see, and as we get closer, 10 years, 15 years down the road, that light's just going to get a little bit brighter.
Right.
So, I'm really not surprised.
Yeah, I'm not greatly surprised, though. Here's the way I put it. A lot of folks say, it's Richard Shelby 2.0, and she certainly had a lot of help from Richard Shelby very early on. And I think he early on was impressed by her. This was not something that all of a sudden hit Shelby one day. And I think she impressed a lot of people as she was sort of rising through the ranks and getting to know Washington, D.C. But I don't think she's going to be a carbon copy of Richard Shelby. No. In the same way, a lot of these new folks just can't. This is my personal opinion. I think I'm right on this. The practical nature of the matter, leave ideology aside, the practical nature of the matter is we don't have much money to spend. We continue to spend like we got it. But you can't be Richard Shelby, who's essentially in a golden era of American prosperity and spending and bringing home, all the assets and the bacon. At some point, there will be some cutting that has to be done and getting our house in order. And I suppose the way I would put it is base reassignment committees. Mm-hmm. It's contentious enough, difficult enough as is when things are good. Can you imagine that sort of thing when we're in piles of debt. We got to do huge cuts across the board. Like, that's going to be a major thing. So you need that player there.
Yeah, I mean, look, I look at it this way. When you go to D.C., in whatever position you're in, U.S. Senator, Congressman, President, it doesn't really matter. If you're trying to recreate, you're not going to be successful, right? I mean, look at these people running for president right now who are trying to be Trump. Right. They're flailing, you know? Right. Senator Britt has gone to D.C. She's created her own brand, her own style of leadership. She's got a fantastic staff around her, which a lot of people don't think about that. Like, look who is surrounding these leaders. Her staff is pretty unreal. I don't even know how she got half. I mean, they are legit. I mean, they're not these fake people who.
These are folks who have been up there a while, who really, like, if I'm going to hire somebody to be a legislative aide on these particular issues, that's the person.
Right, which is contrary to what you want in a politician.
Right.
But it's exactly what you want in your office because they know the ropes.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, and Senator Tuberville did something very similar, right?
Oh, yeah. Now, this piece by Martin, Jonathan Martin, they were trying to continually make the distinction between Senator Britt and Senator Tuberville.
Yeah.
And again, that's where I was annoyed by the framing of the Trumpy and the politics of hate and all this stuff. I think for all maybe someone like a Jonathan Martin or the corporate media would criticize Tuberville, I think Tuberville's shown leadership.
Yeah.
In the sense that after saying, I'm not going to back down, he didn't, and Schumer blinks last week.
They look at it on a linear scale, you know, or a spectrum, whatever you want to call it. Oh, how Republican is this person? And, I mean, we all know that the media is unbelievably leftist. I think I saw a survey a week or two ago that said 93% or something identified as Democrats.
Right.
So that's just kind of a bad way to look at it. You got to look at it on effectiveness, and both of them are pretty effective right now.
Exactly. You know? And different styles, different approaches. They're obviously from talking to both of them, very different people. And I expect nothing less. It's just like, and again, I'm sure you could go to Coach, I'm sure you could go to Katie and be like, are y'all at? No, they probably work together all the time and know each other well, even when they disagree. Let's go to Duke on line one. Hey, Duke, how you doing?
Hey, I know you had a guest on for a minute.
It's kind of wherever you want to go today.
Oh, okay, yes. I got in the news earlier about Jack, man, and I spoke with Eddie about it, and it really hit me, man. And excuse me. Yes, but with that said, now I had my moments this morning, but in Jack's tradition, how you doing? You know, I know it's not appropriate to do it right now. That's his trademark right there. So we're gonna be strong for Jack. How about that?
There you go, Duke.
All right. But I want to say that when I first called in on this show for the first day, my first day on this, calling in on this show, Jack and I went at it. You know, I spoke with him, and next few days I talked to him again because I called back. You know, everybody didn't think I would call back in, and I think you and Eddie kind of questioned me, who the hell was I, you know, at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And where did this cat come from, you know? And when Jack had his stroke, I think he came back on the show for the first time. I'm the first person to ask about, you know. That meant a lot to me, you know. And in life, God put people in your life, you know, good people in your life, some bad people. He allowed all type to intertwine with us, but, you know, it's not every day you meet real people, you know, true, real people. And Jack was one of those truly real people that I met. You know, I didn't know much about him, but when I met him at Bumhouse for the first time, you know, he's just so full of energy, man, and he's the kind of person that I expected, you know, him to be, you know, compared to his voice I heard on the radio, you know, in his conversation. And he's the same person in person when you meet him, and, you know, and unfortunately I didn't get a chance to hang out with him, me and you and the guys hang out with him, to really be ourselves and act a fool with him, because I know he's a damn fool when he cut up, you know. I can just see that in him. And he gave me a little bit of it, you know, but we had ladies in the presence, so we had to behave, you know. But make a long story short, and say what I got to say, that regardless of where we are in politics or what side you are on, you know, let's be here for each other and lift each other up and love on people like Jack, because he's a real soldier.
Amen.
All right, that's all I got to say.
Thank you, Duke. Thank you for that.
Yes.
272-9228. 272-9228. Again, the show must go on, folks, but if you want to share any more memories or commemorate Jack Campbell in some way, we found out he passed this weekend. 272-9228.
One of my favorite lines he would say, and say it to anybody and everybody, but be bitter party one.
Oh, he told me that one often,
Right.
because look at me. I mean, I am.
How often that we get to share that was great.
Oh, yeah, he had all sorts of things. Like I said, I'm trying to think of ones I could share on FCC Airways. F at FCC, dadgummit. But there were many lines that Jack Campbell would throw out there and stick with you. They kind of get under your skin a little bit. And seriously, with every person I think he got to know well, he had a running inside joke with those people. It didn't matter. It would be out of nowhere. Just say a thing. Right. I think we had several inside jokes because we went to dinner once or twice a week. At certain points in the middle of a dinner conversation, he liked doing the fart noises. I don't know what it was.
He did.
He
did.
I'm like, excuse me, Jack, I need to go to the restaurant. Oh, are you gassy? It's like, okay, pardon me, sir. I didn't mean it that way. Let's go to Bill. Hey, Bill.
Hi, guys. Yeah, I was surprised to hear the news about Jack. I never actually got the opportunity to meet him, and I regret that. But he had some great stories, some great political stories. But you and your guest are talking a little bit about Katie Britt.
Mm-hmm.
What has she done?
What has she done?
I mean, yeah, what has she done?
I mean,
what has she accomplished? What has she accomplished for Alabama? I mean, I've heard her get up on the floor a couple of times and make some good statements. But I'll remind you that if the Democrats are singing her praises, there's more under that than just the fact that they're impressed by her. You do know she worked on Stephen Reed's campaign.
I think she was on the transition team, and that was from a business council standpoint.
Right. It was an advisory committee as Todd was leaving and Stephen was coming in.
Joey, if I can, just to clarify, the Democrats aren't singing her praises. They're recognizing the impact of her leadership that Republicans are having. So, I mean, there's a distinction there, but,
Well, in terms of major legislation, she hasn't done anything, but I wouldn't expect that.
I look at it like this, Joey. I like to vote for people not from what they're going to pass and make more laws on. I look at voting for people for what laws they can help us get rid of.
Well, that too.
And
well, I would agree with that, and I would say that Tuberville has done a very good job on that, where he has held the Democrats' feet to the fire, and the stunt that he pulled a week or so ago, where he got the 17 votes to actually pass the, I think, 3 positions that needed to be fulfilled. I mean, I think he caught some folks flat-footed, and I think they had to figure out real quick how to intervene and keep him from being the one that got that done. But he did get it done, and he is the reason those 3 people got nominated and passed on, rather than the way the Democrats want to do it, and that's to all or none. That's what they
I think
say.
Coach's very public stand has very much turned out to be a leadership moment for Coach. That said, I think if you look at what we were talking about, the pieces by Jonathan Martin in Politico, if you want to read it, Bill, it's very long.
Okay.
And really what my takeaway, because I've had the chance to talk to her several times now, get to know her a little bit, is she, and I talk to a lot of these politicians. She has this X factor that is in this charm that is very, I think, natural, and it's engaging. And I think it works, and I'm not the only one seeing that. You've seen a lot of folks say that as well, and she's put herself as a freshman only up there a few months already within shot of a leadership position, which is also quite impressive and probably good for the state, being on appropriations and so many other things.
I tell you what I'm impressed with, Joey, is her border stances and what she's doing. She's been to the border multiple times, and I don't know if you saw this or not. When what's the Secretary of Homeland Security? He's crazy. He's out there.
Mayorkas.
Yeah, she took him to task. I mean, it was impressive.
Well, and she didn't even. She did this whole trick. I like to do it too. I'm not mad. I'm disappointed.
Right.
And it worked.
Yeah. I mean, that was. I don't know that I'd have the guts to say it.
But I mean, Bill, we'll see. Like I've always said, when it comes to Senator Britt, that she's very talented. But we'll see when we have these big issues coming ahead. Like in that piece, they talk about her support for more funding to Ukraine. I vehemently disagree with that. But I think she's the type of person that would pick up the phone and hash that out with somebody, even if you disagree.
Yeah. Well, as another host used to say, we will see in the fullness of time.
Indeed we will. Appreciate it, Bill.
Y'all have a great day.
You too, Bill.
Let's go to Josh. Hey, Josh.
Hey, Joey, Eddie, how we doing, man?
All right, how you doing, Josh?
Oh, doing all right, man. I just wanted to say, I was only fortunate enough to meet Jack one time in RXA at Farm Hours, but his degree of humor on the radio, I appreciated that. I mean, he was able to make fun of himself, make fun of others, and everything else. He seemed like a genuine person. And, man, the world lost a good one.
Yes, we did. We really did.
Definitely did.
Well, I appreciate the call, Josh. Really do.
Thank you, Josh.
All right, Jack.
See you, buddy.
Yeah.
Got to hit a quick break here. More news and views in the afternoon. Well, after this.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Hi, I'm Ray Bowles from Prattville Carpet. If you're looking for waterproof carpet, hardwood, laminate, vinyl plank, or ceramic tile, call us today for your free measurement.
During Prattville Carpet's summer sale, you can get Mohawk waterproof flooring, regularly priced at $11 per foot installed, right now priced at $7 per foot installed. That's huge summer savings. And get interest-free financing for up to 12 months with approved credit. Call 285-8117 or visit PrattvilleCarpet.com.
Prattville Carpet, we're more than just carpet.
When news happens, you'll hear about it first. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Welcome back. News and views in the afternoon. This part of the program brought to you by Montgomery Men's Health, and they're at Montgomery Men's Health. Well, they can help you men out. They're reinventing men's health care here in the River region. And in particular, they like to help men out who have low testosterone. Now, if you're experiencing these symptoms, you might in fact have low testosterone. Things like lack of energy, motivation, and drive, and it could be mental or physical energy, maybe the two together. But if you are always feeling sluggish and run down and low libido, no sex drive to speak of, you could possibly have low testosterone. This happens naturally as you get in your 50s, 60s, and 70s. Some men of that age want to get that edge back when they were younger, but it's also happening to more and more young men, even in their 20s, here in the United States and all across kind of the Western world. So if you're feeling these symptoms, go by Montgomery Men's Health today. You can always call them at 440-3663. That's 440-3663. Or go to MontgomeryMen'sHealth.com. For only $99 in about an hour, you can know your testosterone numbers, and they have treatments there at Montgomery Men's Health that can truly change your life, from higher energy to better gains in the gym to better mental clarity, improved sleep patterns, and you might even notice an increased libido, and there ain't nothing wrong with that, gentlemen. So again, Montgomery Men's Health. Be sure to tell them that you heard about them here on News and Views in the afternoon. 272-9228. Again, we're going to keep going with the show. The show must go on, and we will cover today's news. But at any point today or throughout the week, if you want to call in and share good memories, fond memories of Jack Campbell, please do it. 272-9228. Now, one of the things that it's like straight up, we were talking about it on Friday, dirty politics, is this Senator Menendez story out of New Jersey. And he, he was getting gold bars?
Yeah.
It's not like you can give the Nixon checker speech by any means. Gold bars, cash, and this was all to benefit, Egypt?
Yeah.
It was the certain players in the Egyptian government and businessmen over there. And my suspicion is this sort of thing, this wheeling dealing can go on all the time in D.C. It's just this guy seemed to do it in a very ham-handed way.
Yeah. Weird. Gold bars. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, and then he went on to claim that, $400,000 in cash, that's just my savings. Like, you probably need a better savings vehicle for that amount of money, sir. Yeah, that doesn't fly at all. And you've even got a lot of people in his own party, in the Democratic Party, saying, get out of here, just resign. We don't care that you
John Fetterman. Yeah, I saw John Fetterman, who, I mean, if you got the guy who, can't even put a tie on to go to work, telling you to leave,
right.
That's a sign, man.
And, of course, there's still chatter about the dress code change because of Fetterman. Though Tuberville said it's for all of us, so maybe Coach will go out there and...
See what Rand Paul wore?
No.
Red robe, no shoes.
I saw that. Yeah. You got to watch out for that AI, folks. But
that's true. Was that a real picture or was that AI?
AI.
Oh, man. That's crazy.
Yeah,
man.
but it was a photo of Rand Paul in a bright red robe, no shoes on, sitting on, the Capitol steps
Kind of like
something.
Moses or something.
Right. But Rand reshared it and said, I don't think that's accurate.
Yeah.
But I'll take it.
Fooled me.
And so it's like, do you care about the standards being removed there from the Senate?
I do. I mean, look, we always talk about, holding politicians to a higher standard and, all that. And I don't look at it as just your ethics. This is how we present ourselves to the world. A lot of times when you have world leaders walking around the Capitol building and they see a dude in, Jordan shorts and a hoodie, I don't that's not what I want my outward appearance to be.
Yeah, it doesn't exactly speak like the best among us. So
I tell you what's crazy, Joey, is it only applies to senators, right? Their staff, they still have to wear coats and ties, right? So that's a prime example of not leading by example.
Right.
Rules for thee and not for me,
Yeah, but all to, I think, cater that one guy, which I don't know why they're doing that.
Which is crazy. He comes from an affluent family. He it's not like this is how he has to dress because of financial reasons.
Right. Well, here, I got to hit this top of the hour break. More news and views in the afternoon after this.
Joey Clark.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusana, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. On Tuesday, President Biden will visit striking auto workers in Detroit in a show of support following their expansion to 38 locations in 20 states. On the battlefront, Ukrainian officials say that the missile that blasted the Crimean headquarters of Russia's Navy last week killed 34 officers, including the fleet commander, though it provided no evidence to support its claim. And a space capsule carrying NASA's first asteroid samples has landed in the Utah desert. The OSIRIS-REx spacecraft released the capsule on Sunday following a 7-year journey to asteroid Bennu and back. On Wall Street, the Dow is down 58 points, but the NASDAQ is up 22 points. This is SRN News.
Donald Trump's indictment proves that saving America is not going to be easy. There are entrenched powers that are fighting this with everything they've got. They want to keep control over the country, the narrative, and the nation's money supply. Hi, I'm Lance Wallnau. I'm a news analyst, a Christian author, an evangelical leader. I speak to millions of people every week, people just like you. You see, what the elite are doing is using inflation and government handouts and now central bank digital currencies to determine how they're going to control America. And that's why I recommend all Christians start a gold IRA from the Birch Gold Group. Because physical precious metals are one of the few ways you can maintain control over your own savings. To get a free info kit on gold IRAs, text the word faith to 989898. Birch Gold Group is the only gold company I trust. Get their free info kit and you'll see why a gold IRA can help you. There are no strings attached. Text the word faith to 989898 and you're going to be blessed by taking action right now.
The Rich Thomas Weather Network, brought to you by Alabama Wholesale Lumber. Alabama Wholesale Lumber, the best quality building materials in the river region for decades. From common builds to special orders and local delivery. Call Alabama Wholesale Lumber.
Rich Thomas Weather.
We had a beautiful weekend, but we've got a few weather changes on the way. Not a big deal. Today, another warm day with a high temperature near 90, partial sunshine, at least a small chance of some afternoon or evening showers or thunderstorms. You know, here and there, they will be random. Tonight, slow, not as cool, down to about 69. Upper 80s tomorrow with scattered random storms possible, especially in the afternoon and evening hours. Perhaps a little bit more numerous on Wednesday with a high around 86. And a few leftover showers perhaps on Thursday. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Whether you're buying a home or auto or consolidating debt, CB&S Bank's personal loans get you where you need to go. Go to cbsbank.com to find a location near you or apply online today. All loans subject to credit approval, member FDIC and equal housing lender.
From the Blue Water Broadcasting Newsroom, here's today's top stories. 4 people injured following a Saturday night shooting at Tuskegee University. The incident occurred at an unauthorized party at the West Commons housing complex. 2 campus visitors were treated at an area hospital for gunshot wounds. 2 Tuskegee students also injured but have since returned to campus. The man wanted in connection with the murder investigation in Tallahassee has been arrested. 31-year-old Rodarius Smith of Tuskegee, also goes by the name Ra, was taken into custody Friday. Smith is accused of shooting and killing 28-year-old Broderick Sanders Wednesday in Tallahassee. In college football news, both Alabama and Auburn opened SEC play Saturday. Alabama defeated Ole Miss while Auburn lost on the road at Texas A&M. Both teams are now 3-1 on the season. From the Blue Water Broadcasting Newsroom, I'm Sky Mosley.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
It's the 70th Alabama National Fair, October 6th through the 15th. Enjoy the rides, circus, shows, and the food.
I really enjoy munching my way down the Midway. I can just smell all the great food I love. Giant turkey legs, funnel cakes, corn dogs, and anything deep fried.
Get the free Fair app at your app store. Coliseum Clear Bag policy in effect. 17 and under must be accompanied by an adult 21 or over.
It's the best 10 days of fall.
For October 6th through the 15th.
Alabama National Fair.
Sponsored by the Kiwanis Club of Montgomery, Hyundai Motor Manufacturing Alabama, and Coca-Cola.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's News and Views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Welcome back to the program. Let's go right to the phones. Name and a voice I haven't heard. I haven't seen the name in a while. I hadn't heard the voice in a while. Let's go to David Grimes. Hey, David. Good to hear from you.
Hey, good. Thank you. I'm sorry to hear about Jack. Jack and I have been friends for 40 years, and he's we've had ups and downs on politics, but always he had the wise word. Oh, he always had something to say.
There you go.
Yeah, good. Hey, look, I wanted to comment about the standards. The radical left is taking all reasoning away from rational behavior, and I think decorum is a very important, just like standards of behavior and standards of decorum is very important.
Right, and if you can't meet the standard, then what are we even doing here? Why are we lowering the standards just for one guy?
That's a good point.
Absolutely. Well, see, when I was in the House and Senate of Alabama, you must wear a tie and a coat at all times in the chamber during a session. Even if it's a bolo tie, you've got to have some kind of tie on. And I remember one night, back in 2008, I think it was, air conditioner had been out all afternoon, and we were in there about 9 o'clock one Monday night or Tuesday night, and we had a house, have a floor boat to allow us to take our coat. It was Monday night, and we had a house, have a floor boat to allow us to take.
David, you there?
And we had a house,
I remember what he's talking about.
Call back, David.
Yeah, and I mean he's basically akinning the standards in D.C. to what it is in Montgomery, which is very similar. They had to vote to take the jackets off because people were profusely sweating. It was starting to, smell like a not as the state house should.
Yeah, too many of those fellas in there, and it's just it's nasty. But here, let's go back to the phones. Let's see if we got David back. David? Hello?
Hello.
Hey, who's this?
Hey, this is Brad.
Hey, Brad, you're on there.
Hey, I just wanted to suggest that maybe give a biography of Jack for those of us who aren't quite so familiar with him.
I may be ill-equipped to do that in full, honestly, at this moment. But we've got the whole week, and for those who don't know, we have confirmed funeral services. There will be a funeral mass at St. Peter's, downtown Montgomery, at 2 o'clock on Friday. 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But,
thank you.
I appreciate the suggestion. I'll see what I can scrounge up, because I really knew Jack for the last 4 years. I knew him a little bit before then, but I'm going to have to lean on others for those early years.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You're on there? Who's this?
Hey, it's Red. How you doing?
Hey, good.
I just wanted to say that I only met Jack 2 or 3 times, but one of the times, many, many years ago, was in the basement of Dreamland. I don't know if you've ever been down in there or not, but it's got couches and pool tables and artwork and whatever. And I'd met him before, but just briefly, and he said, "How's Marilyn?" It's like, are you kidding me? You remember my wife's name? I don't know. It was just...
That was one of his favorite games when somebody would come by. Now, you're related to, one second, that person and that person. Yeah.
Well, I just celebrate his life because he had it so hard with the amputation and then the stroke, and, always kept such a good frame of mind on the air.
Well, I appreciate you calling in and saying
It was
that.
just so positive, All right.
Thank you, sir. 272-9228. Yeah, it's going to be emotional, not just day, but week, folks. But I appreciate you being here, Dalton, and the conversation about the news will continue. In fact, there's a lot I didn't get to on Friday, where the jockeying between all the presidential candidates right now. So it's pretty much the same place we've been in.
Yeah.
Like Trump continues to grow his lead, right?
Grow, yeah. That's the key word,
Right.
which is impressive.
Which it's amazing. And it's not just the lead over the Republicans. Like he's growing a lead in a hypothetical matchup with Biden.
Yeah.
And it's not Rasmussen or Trafalgar. It was
Washington Post, I think it was. They
ABC
showed him
News.
3-point lead or
Right. Pretty massive. But there are all these other folks in the Republican Party kind of jockeying for position underneath Trump. I believe Wednesday we have another one of those Republican debates.
Yep.
This will be on Fox Business, I guess. Stuart Varney, Dana Perino. And, you know, I'm looking at all these folks that are on offer, from DeSantis to Ramaswamy to Nikki Haley to Tim Scott. And I'm wondering who's actually going to stick out from the crowd. Because it depends on what poll you look at. Everybody else seems to be DeSantis has a little bit of an edge.
It kind of depends on the state, which is, you know, in the past, they've kind of all grouped up together and every state has kind of looked similar. But, you know, like Vivek is not looking very good in like North and South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Christie's not looking good anywhere other than New Hampshire. But Vivek's killing it in New Hampshire and Iowa.
Right.
Haley is, you know, she's obviously doing well in North and South, but
I think Haley is the clear, like, so-called establishment.
The alternative to Trump. Like,
Right.
if you're not going to vote for Trump because it's Trump.
And you don't want to vote for anybody who even sounds like Trump.
Right.
Yeah. I think Nikki Haley is the person who's emerging from that group, because there are a lot of folks in that camp. Mike Pence, Tim Scott.
Mm-hmm.
There's several folks. I don't know what Asa Hutchinson is doing up there.
I'm kind of, you know, it's the weirdest thing. Like, Doug Burgum, for instance, in North Dakota, I understand what he's doing up there because I think he wants to be president.
Right.
And consistently, you know, makes good points, not in the way that DeSantis or Vivek does, but I'm struggling with Asa. I'm not.
Doug Burgum was one of the folks I had no clue what he was. I didn't know who he was. Yeah. Saw him on the stage, and it kind of won me over because
I like him. I mean,
that sort of small town, all shucks charm to him.
I know he's North Dakota, which, you know, it's hard to get further from Alabama, but he kind of reminds me of, as crazy as that sounds, reminds me of Alabama. Like, he's not, you know, from Iowa or New Hampshire or Florida or whatever. And he's like, look, man, like, the economy sucks and I know how to fix it.
Well, and Americans tend to swing, the pendulum swings not just between, say, left and right, Republicans and Democrats. It could be personality type when it comes to your president.
Yeah.
Or it could be like, okay, we've had two old men, now let's get a younger voice. Or we had, you know, kind of Jimmy Carter. It's like, let's do less, wear a sweater, all this stuff.
Yeah.
No, let's get Reagan. We can do anything.
Yeah.
Though Carter was largely a response to Nixon and all that sort of thing. So who knows? It could be we go from some, you know, boisterous billionaire to some cadaverous president we have right now in Biden. I think young and energetic is what the country needs.
What's your read on Glenn Youngkin getting in?
I think he could be strong. I think Youngkin needs to stay put. I think
it's too late.
Yeah,
you know?
Kemp needs to stay put. You know, somebody told me that Brian Kemp could really be dominant. But you see it with DeSantis. Like, DeSantis looked like the rock star in the party as just governor of Florida. And as soon as he announced, stumbled out of the gate with that Twitter space.
What a disaster.
Which I love people using Twitter in that function, but that was a disaster as a rollout.
It's almost like they didn't test it. Like, I tried to get in. Couldn't get in.
Right.
I wanted to watch it.
Well, and it's just like basic mistakes being made, but it's even beyond that. When you see Ron DeSantis, it's like the shine kind of came off him somehow, which I like him, generally speaking. But I think Youngkin and Kemp need to keep that in mind. I think Brian Kemp, I mean, he's one of those guys, if you want to talk about a guy who took on Trump and still, he won 60-something% re-election in his state. So he's very strong. I don't know. As I look at the debate coming up, I wonder how it's actually going to shake out, and will it have any effect on Trump? Again, Trump will not be debating. He's instead going to be speaking to Detroit auto workers.
Yeah.
Which is not a usual thing, I think, for
It's
GOP.
it's kind of, it's either going to be a really good play or a really bad play.
Right.
He's speaking to the unions. They're on strike. He did that thing with Ford. You take it to Mexico, we're going to slap a 30% tariff on you. And those workers, I guess he's going there to remind them, like, hey, did it once, I'll do it again.
Well, and so one thing DeSantis got into last week, and it's not the I don't know if it's actually a winning card or not, but it's the whole game of beat up Kevin McCarthy, which, doesn't make me mad or anything, but I'm wondering if it actually speaks to the folks back home beating up on Kevin McCarthy. So here is DeSantis, this was near the end of last week, being asked about, everything going on in Washington, D.C. Again, in D.C. right now, there's all this talk of budgetary process, and Matt Gaetz wants single-issue bills. That's what Kevin promised. Everybody else is like, Matt, you guys won't be pleased with anything. Yeah. And they'll come back and say, well, y'all ran out the clock on purpose here to strong-arm us like this. And it's getting nasty. We'll see what happens. But here's DeSantis kind of commenting on all that going around.
President Trump is beating Biden right now in the polls. He's stronger than he has ever been in this process. And look, I served with Ron DeSantis. He's not at the same level as President Trump by any shape or form. He would not have gotten elected without President Trump's endorsement.
Oh, wow.
That was Speaker McCarthy comparing Donald Trump and Governor DeSantis, not favorably, by the way. And look who's here now, the governor himself. Good morning, Governor. You heard the Speaker's comments. Would you like to respond? You're not on the same level as Trump. Respond to that, please.
Well, sure. I mean, I think, I ran 16 points better than Trump in Florida. I won the greatest victory that's ever been won by a Republican in the history of governor's races. We were supposed to have a red wave in 2022. That crashed and burned around the country. Florida, we did. We delivered them 4 additional Republican congressmen that was instrumental in getting them the bare majority that they have. And I'd also say, since Kevin's been in Congress, they've added trillions and trillions of dollars to the debt. Even when we had unified Republican government, since I've been governor of Florida, we've actually paid down almost 25% of our total state debt. We've won budget surpluses every year, and we have the top rated economy in the entire United States. And so we've shown the ability to win big politically and also to deliver on our promises. And that's, I think, what Republican voters want. We always hear the rhetoric, and then the results usually don't follow. With me, everything I promised I'd do, I've delivered.
So, I mean, I don't know. I agree with everything he just said.
Yeah, look, Joey, I run campaigns for a living.
Sure.
And I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to find his base, which at this point is mighty late to be doing so. And look, I like DeSantis. I think he's a great governor. But I don't know that saying I can Florida the rest of the country is I mean, people may say like, oh yeah, that'd be nice if we paid down 20% of our debt, but it's completely different, right? And I think finding your base this late is kind of that's.
Right. And he's sort of floundering. I think in the first debate, he came across as contrived. Like out of the gate, a weird sort of yelling pattern of speech.
It's robotic almost.
But it seemed like it was way too rehearsed. He wasn't just being himself. I mean, who knows? Who knows how I would behave on a stage like that? You never know till you get up there. Whereas others, like Vivek, came across a little too energetic too, in my humble opinion. But he also came across as himself. He was just being him, and I think that's why he won that first debate. But Nikki Haley holding her own in that first debate as well. So, I don't know. The more I see, does the debt issue actually speak to folks? It speaks to me.
I think it speaks to most folks as long as you apply it correctly, right? Mm-hmm. Because trimming 20% of the debt, I'm just using his example. Okay, let's hear how are you going to do that, right? Because 20% of Florida debt versus 20% of the U.S.'s debt are mighty different.
Right. And you can get into all the specifics of how many people moved to your state and immediately increased your tax base and all this stuff. In the same way when I hear folks say California's the future, I hope not.
Yeah.
A deindustrialized hellhole with crap in the streets. Yeah, I don't think we need that with tech overlords. though that might be where some folks want to take things. But got to hit a quick break here. But first, this part of the program brought to you by Dr. Tom Pershing. He's a chiropractor right here in Montgomery. So if you've been in a recent auto accident, you need to call Dr. Tom at 676-1490. That's 676-1490. Dr. Pershing, chiropractor, right here on Vaughn Road in Montgomery. They offer things like spinal decompression or possible treatment to prevent any sort of spinal injury, laser therapy treatments that help relieve neuropathy of the legs or arms, also helpful for things like a frozen shoulder, swelling of the knee or a sprained ankle. So if you're having any of these problems, especially if you just were in an accident of some sort, auto accident or anything else that might have been physically traumatic, it could be an issue hasn't flared up yet. So you need to go by there, see Dr. Tom Pershing. Here's how you set up an appointment. You can either go to drpershing.net. That's drpershing.net. Log on there for more info. Again, drpershing.net, or call them at 676-1490. That's 676-1490. And they have affordable packages, folks. So no matter your budget, Dr. Tom Pershing is going to be able to help get you better. More news and views in the afternoon. Well, after this.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Hi, this is Bo Goodson from the Goodson Group. Here's your Real Estate Minute. What's the secret behind selling your home fast and selling it for fair market value or above? There's no secret, but here's some suggestions that I've learned over 46 years in the real estate business. First, price it right. Based on other sales in your neighborhood, what should it sell for? Second, make sure all the little and big repairs you may have put off all get done before you put it on the market. Third, consider making some improvements to your house first, repainting inside and out, updating the flooring, professionally clean the whole house. Fourth, consider helping the buyer with a portion of closing costs and providing a warranty too. Number 5, don't try to do this on your own. Hire a professional realtor to provide facts, tips in selling, and guidance all the way through the transaction. Also work with the best realtors from the Goodson Group, fully trained, service-oriented folks. Call Bo Goodson 221-2883 or the Goodson Group 551-0225.
What's your biggest investment? More than likely, it's your home. So treat it that way when you hire a painting contractor. With PBS Painting, there are no gimmicks, no $99 specials. Just quality painting and someone who treats your home with the same respect that you do. At PBS Painting, we have been painting for years and look forward to many more years to come. With PBS Painting, the job gets prepped properly, whether it's cleaning, scraping, or priming. We always use quality products, which is a must for a quality paint job. So if you're looking for a painter that doesn't need upfront money and is on the job at all times, then please give me a call. Scott Bowers and PBS Painting, 294-5122. That's PBS Painting, 294-5122. Look at some of our work on Facebook at PBS Painting Montgomery.
Are you tired of the mainstream media's biased reporting? Do you want to stay informed on the news that really matters to you? Look no further than 1819 News. At 1819 News, we bring you the latest in Alabama news, politics, sports, culture, and more. We've assembled a team of journalists with Alabama values dedicated to the truth and the truth alone. Visit us at 1819news.com today. That's 1819news.com. Subscribe to our newsletter. Honest News, Alabama Values. This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
The premier place the River Region turns to for news, weather, traffic, and opinion. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon.
This part of the program brought to you by Bath Innovations of Alabama. And there at Bath Innovations, Brad McDowell, he's the founder, still the owner there at Bath Innovations, and his entire team are ready to help you. You know, they've made it their goal a while ago, folks, all the way back in 1994. After building themselves up by their bootstraps, they made a goal of serving every household here in the Montgomery and surrounding areas. I like that ambition, Brad. I like it a lot. And, well, I really don't have enough time on the radio to tell you about all the amazing things they have. Of course, we've told you about those aging in place solutions for seniors or others with accessibility, disability concerns. Well, things like safety bar railings, anti-slip mats. You can convert a bathtub to a walk-in shower. We told you about their brand new technology, the ABS acrylic shower systems with these high-strength polymer panels. Amazing stuff that could be molded any way you wish. Once it's set, it's durable, easy to clean, and you can boss on any 4K image of any sort of stone look, any pattern you like. So could be granite, marble, brick, tile, but it's not actually those stones. It's a much easier to clean, again, cheaper option too than, say, importing marble from across the world for sure. But that's just scratching the surface, so to speak, folks. At Bath Innovations of Alabama, what you need to do is go to bathinnovations.com, start mixing and matching. You'll see the possibilities are endless. Doesn't matter your budget, whether you're looking to fix something like a chipped or discolored sink, or you're looking to do a full-on remodel, you want it to look like a completely different bathroom. Just go to bathinnovations.com, start to mix and match, and then end up there at 2331 Eastern Boulevard here in Montgomery. And be sure to tell Brad McDowell and that team there at Bath Innovations that Joey from News and Views in the Afternoon sent you. Eddie had to leave, had an impromptu thing come up, but we have Dalton Dismukes here. We appreciate you spending some time here today. And shifting gears, we were talking about this inside fight within the Congress, in particular within the GOP. And apparently there was a heck of a back and forth between Matt Gaetz and Maria Bartiromo, or however you say her name. And I think this could be a nice prompt to get this discussion going. So let's listen in.
Florida Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz. Congressman, thank you very much for being here this morning.
Thank you. I'm glad I get to respond to your monologue, because if you're saying that I'm standing in the way of all the Republican wins, I'd love you to enumerate them. Watching my friend and mentor Jim Jordan, it was quite painful, because he started by saying we should only pick one fight, the border. But then as the interview went on, he said, well, we should pick a second fight, Jack Smith. And by the time the interview rounded out, he was saying that we shouldn't be funding Ukraine without a plan. And yet the very continuing resolution that you and Jim Jordan seem to be for continues to have $300 million more for Ukraine. So I think we ought to fight on all fronts. I think the border is very important. And the best way for us to advance the Republican border policies is to pass the Department of Homeland Security Appropriations Bill, do that along with veterans, defense, ag, state and foreign ops. We'll have 73% of the discretionary budget funded. And if, the Department of Labor and Education have to shut down for a few days as we get their appropriations in line, that's certainly not something that is optimal, but I think it's better than continuing on the current path we are to America's financial ruin.
Congressman, I understand, and that is why you are on this program this morning, because I want to give you a fair shot, and I want to get you heard. So tell me why you are threatening Speaker McCarthy and trying to shut down this government at a time that the Republicans have finally gotten some upper hands here in terms of wins, able to investigate President Biden on what looks like bribery.
Yeah, we don't put our pencils down in the investigation of President Biden during a shutdown, so the premise is false. Second, if Kevin McCarthy was actually serious about pursuing the Bidens, he would have sent Hunter Biden a subpoena by now. That's how you know this is sort of failure theater that you're observing. During the first year of Democrat control of the Congress, they brought in Donald Trump Jr. 3 times over nothing, over a nothing burger. And so we seem to be fundamentally unserious in our oversight. But what is serious is the fact that we are spending more than $7 trillion a year, bringing in around $5 trillion a year. And I want to fund the government. I'm not pro-shutdown, but the way to fund the government is not the same way we've been doing it since the mid-90s, where it's one up or down vote on the entire government all at once. We should have separate single subject spending bills. Kevin McCarthy promised that in January. He is in breach of that promise. So I'm not here to hold the government hostage. I'm here to hold Kevin McCarthy to his word.
Now, Dalton, what do you think of Matt Gaetz here? And we can get into all the details of what they're arguing about exactly. It's somewhat esoteric to the average American. But in terms of him as a critic of the government, a critic of the Republican Party, what do you think of Representative Gaetz?
Yeah, I mean, look, the listeners probably aren't going to like this. I'm not a fan of Matt Gaetz. I think he's got some underlying personal issues that still need to be addressed. And he talks about failure theater. I mean, do you want the government in control of the Democrats in control of the government? Or do you want the Republicans in control of the government? And I think having another showdown for the speakership does not help us win back the White House. It does not help us win back Congress. It doesn't help us keep our majority in the House. I'm not saying give. I'm saying, let's have our family drama in the House, right? Rather than in the public,
I could maybe to ventriloquize Gates. I don't know if he'd say this for certain, but I think something he would say is like, well, why is it that we're all of a sudden last second having to do this?
Yeah.
I was given promises. We were given promises as holdouts.
And I get that.
To do the single issue bills and to build this up. Instead, accidentally we ran out the clock and now we got to do another continuing resolution.
Yeah, and I mean, he is, I'm not saying he's wrong on one or any of this. I'm not saying that. He may be right. They may have intentionally ran out the clock. I'm not there, but I do semi disagree on single subject spending bills only because trying to pass a budget as large as ours,
right?
Oh my gosh, that would go on forever. But he is right. We are spending $2 trillion more a year than we have, and that's a problem.
Well, and I admit I'm much more in the camp of throw a wrench in the gears, make Washington improvise. I think business as usual doesn't always end up, or at least in the recent history, has not ended up with great outcomes. And then the argument back to me could be something like, well, Joey, it could be a heck of a lot worse than these outcomes you don't like. Well, maybe, but the outcomes don't seem to live up to your ideals, and they also don't seem to be going in a certain... If we're going to talk like grand strategy for the nation and planning, what's our next 10 years going to look like, 20 years going to look like? Other nations around the world are doing that. I'm not seeing behavior that comports to that sort of vision.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. I will say this. I do agree with Matt Gaetz that I don't think it would be a bad thing if the U.S. Department of Education shut down for a few days, weeks, months, years.
Forever.
But, there are some things that, I mean, genuinely we do need done fairly quickly. That a lot of people don't really understand this. When the government shuts down, sometimes projects, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's anything that's government funded that's a project on a project timeline, that comes to a halt. In a lot of these contracts, there's permission clauses where when you shut down, you're still paying these contractors to do no work. Which just adds to our budget.
Oh yeah, no, this is no way to govern, but I think
it's a hard decision. I'm glad I'm not there.
Right. But it's also like, okay, people say, for instance, Richard Shelby, when I wrote something on him about a year or two ago as he was retiring, I went back and kind of looked at what he had said during many campaigns. In fact, there was that great moment where the Gingrich Revolution, Contract with America, it's the day after they win in 94. There's Richard Shelby, very publicly at a press conference switching parties to the Republican Party. And in that speech, in 94, he's talking about we got to get folks off government dependency. We got to downsize this government. And every election cycle, he would say, yeah, the budget's too much, all this stuff. And then he's the guy who knew how to bring home the bacon. So I don't know. I feel like you could get away with that when we're doing really well as a nation.
Yeah.
But there are going to be some tough decisions to be made. And sometimes I wonder if certain forces within the Republican Party actually mean what they say, or are they more managing problems instead of solving problems?
I definitely think you're right on that. I think right now we are managing more than we're solving, only because when you look at let's compare state legislation, not just in Alabama and Georgia and Utah and wherever you want. They're tackling some of these kind of localized issues, books in schools, bathrooms, transgender sports, stuff. So, a lot of it just seems like money is what DC talks about the most. Ukraine funding, budget deficits, spending on research, all that sort of stuff. I kind of would like to see. I would like to see a little bit more governing for the future rather than governing from the past.
Right.
Right.
Or like Gates was on Tim Pool's stream, I think last week, and he said, "Yeah, I just came from a meeting with more of McCarthy's folks." Who's the guy who's from North Carolina? He's impressive. The fiscal kind of genius there, well dressed, that sort of. I'm forgetting the guy's name. He's you just listen to the man. He's obviously brilliant. So he probably was at the table.
I know who you're talking about.
But McHenry maybe, or I don't know. I'll have to look it up. But Gates said he was sitting down with a lot of, say, McCarthy's guys and trying to hash out what are we going to do. And he said one of the top people, I won't say her name, but one of the top people said, I got to go. I've got a big fundraiser I have to attend.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, wait, I've read books by like Peter Schweizer, how Washington, D.C. actually works. And part of me thinks to solve the issues that we always talk about in the news, you have to start solving the structural issues of how D.C. operates. Is that a heavy lift? Is it maybe even sort of a Sisyphean task? Like you're never going to come? Maybe, but I think that's part of actually its strength, that we're too strong. This is how the game's played. You're never going to change the game. But occasionally, every once in a while, somebody does change the game. I don't know if it's going to be Matt Gaetz single-handedly. It won't be. And it probably won't be a single senator. But if you get enough leaders in the party and a strong president, I think you can change a lot about Washington.
I think going to a single issue vote is a little bit more of a generous ask than, or a more reasonable ask than, say, zero-based budgeting, where you have to start from zero every year.
I would love that.
I mean, it would be great in theory. Question is, would it ever get done? And I mean, once again, I'm glad I'm not there. Certainly doesn't make it my not my problem. It is my money, your money, and everybody who's listening's money.
Right.
Unless you don't pay taxes. But
I sadly do. They force you to.
I know, man. It's terrible. But it just seems like it's always some sort of theater. Not to borrow his word too much, but it's always some sort of theater.
Right.
Don't we go through the government's going to shut down? It's like every 2 years.
Right.
And it's going to shut down. It'll probably be a week or so, too,
Well, I think the big divide is there are a lot of folks who just seem to think, well, the debt's not an issue. Like, we can always monetize it and refinance it
I really
ourselves.
can't comprehend that. Like, that's maybe I'm dumb, which is entirely possible, but
likewise,
I cannot fathom not understanding why it's important to not spend yourself into decay.
Right, especially when you're seeing kind of this core inflation problem. It is persistent, is not transitory, and that's after 100 years of the dollar kind of losing its value from where it was. You can say, oh, but relative to other national currencies, it's great. Yeah.
And Joey, look, first time I was here, well, maybe the second time, I mentioned how looking at Alabama, we have two budgets, but you can say anything you want to about our leaders here in Montgomery or around the state. Our budget chairman in Alabama, you can hate anybody you want to hate. Those guys are like nailing it year over year. They're nailing it because Alabama, we have our budgets in on time. We may spend a little more than we need to, but we're getting it done. So maybe Katie Britt, maybe Congressman Rogers and Adderholt and Dale Strong and those guys take a little Alabama with them to DC. That's
right.
I mean, I'm not saying we're perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I just hate seeing the infighting spill over to the front yard.
Oh, no, that's fair. 272-9228 if y'all want to get in on the program. This part of News and Views brought to you by XI Repair. And there at XI Repair, Jonathan Strange and his team, well, they can help you with, of course, that smartphone of yours. That's what they specialize in. Cracked screen, water damage, maybe you dropped it in the pool or the lake or something. Maybe you left it outside by accident. It got all wet overnight into the morning. It's a battery not holding a charge. You charge it all night long, and a couple hours into the day, going about your day, you're already in the red. You're like 20%. You don't have to get a new phone. They can actually replace that battery, clean out dirty ports if your charger's not connecting. Maybe you even got a virus on your phone. It's acting funky. XI Repair can fix it. They can also do work on desktop computers, laptop computers, things like top-end gaming consoles like a PlayStation 5. And they can even do data recovery for you. So maybe you accidentally deleted a big project or something like very important, like a big file of all your family photos or something. You didn't have it backed up. They can recover that there at XI Repair. Or maybe you're going through a bad business deal or litigation's ongoing or divorce. People try to delete emails and text messages. Well, XI Repair can recover those deleted messages. So check them out today. You can always go to xirepair.com. That's the letter X, the letter I, repair.com. Or give them a call. It's 777-1234. Again, that's 777-1234. And be sure to tell those fine folks there at XI Repair that Joey from News and Views in the Afternoon sent you. We'll be right back after this.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Next contestant.
Honey, you look confused. What's wrong?
I'm having a hard time remembering to take my medications like I'm supposed to. I didn't say anything because I didn't want to worry you.
I'm glad you told me, because I heard that Adams Drugs has a medicine on time service that will package your monthly medications and make them easier to manage. Our neighbors, Bill and Leslie, mentioned the other day that they use Adams and how they have made it so easy for them to manage their medications.
Do you think we can call Adams Drugs or go by there and see if they can help me? I don't want to get to the point where you have to put me into an assisted living home.
Why don't you get your medications together right now, and let's go down to Adams and talk to the pharmacist.
How much does the medicine on time service cost?
I asked Bill that same question, and he told me it's a free service for Adams customers.
Free? Wow, I'm feeling really good about this already. Let me grab my meds list.
Call Adams Drugs Medicine on Time for your pharmacist consultation. Visit us at adamsdrugs.net for more information on our Medicine on Time packaging service.
This is your roving reporter, and today I'm talking with a famous broadcaster. Hey man, what's happening? Now, I understand you radio people move a lot, is that correct? Yeah, sometimes. Well, how does this affect your taking care of your retirement money? Oh man, I don't give that a second thought because my buddy David Ernest, he's my money man. Your money man? With the money plan. I see. So no matter where I go up and down the dial, David has my back, you know? I'll bet you know some phone numbers our listeners could call to talk with David Ernest. 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. And he has a website at retirewithernest.com. Hey, you're on top of it today, man. I also understand that you hold some sort of a record in broadcasting. Yes, I was the first person to put together a show with myself, a duck, a chicken, and a goose. But it didn't last long. We got taken off the air. Why were you taken off the air? Too much foul language, man. Oh my, I wasn't crazy about that one myself.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
The Rich Thomas Weather Network, brought to you by Alabama Wholesale Lumber. Alabama Wholesale Lumber, serving the river region with the best quality building materials for decades. Contractor to do-it-yourselfer. Call Alabama Wholesale Lumber.
Rich Thomas Weather.
We had a beautiful weekend, but we've got a few weather changes on the way. Not a big deal. Today, another warm day with a high temperature near 90, partial sunshine, at least a small chance of some afternoon or evening showers or thunderstorms. You know, here and there, they will be random. Tonight, slow, not as cool, down to about 69. Upper 80s tomorrow with scattered random storms possible, especially in the afternoon and evening hours. Perhaps a little bit more numerous on Wednesday with a high around 86. And a few leftover showers perhaps on Thursday. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
For the lowest prices around on flooring and DIY flooring installation supplies, Budget Floors and More is your new best friend. Luxury vinyl plank, carpet, ceramic tile, floor installation supplies, and more with prices lower than the big box stores. Budget Floors and More, Hunter Lane across from Del Rey to Publix.
Trustworthy, accurate, immediate. Carrying your voice across the river region. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. I'm your host, Joey Clark. Eddie had to run today. Something came up, but luckily at Dalton Disney.
Stuck with me.
Yeah, I know. God. I think we get along just fine, though, kind sir. Let's go to Mark. Hey, Mark, how you doing today?
Hey, I saw Doug Sattel, 2 T's, EL, Sunday, 5/29/22. Janine Pirro says there's going to be a ripple effect outside the classroom, heartache in Uvalde. On the 27th, Trump's boy, Angelo Santiago, is on audio and video coming to my room. He's bragging they...
I'm going to stop it there because that was strange, Mark.
You ever get those, like when you're listening to the radio and it's the emergency weather alert?
Right.
I swear I thought that's what that was.
No, I think he was going someplace with it. But thanks for calling. 272-9228 if you want to join in. And, of course, folks, we're still taking calls. If you want to share a memory, fun story, Jack Campbell, 272-9228. Now, I want to go back to this because I think this back and forth between Gates and Bartiromo gets a little fiery, if I could put it that way. I think fiery is the word. Let's continue on here, folks.
Their Freedom Caucus members also out of compliance. They were also on the Appropriations Committee. Where is the responsibility for them? Are they also out of compliance?
No, I'm not a member of the Freedom Caucus. I'll let them speak for themselves. But take, for example, the border. This issue you think has great primacy, and I would agree with you. The Department of Homeland Security Appropriations Bill was passed out of the Appropriations Committee in June, and yet Kevin McCarthy hasn't put it on the floor in more than 100 days. That is not serious. You know why Kevin McCarthy didn't move our border appropriations bill? Because the lobbyists and the special interests who own Kevin McCarthy want to put us in this position where we're backed up against the wall, facing shutdown politics. And what that does is it centralizes power to the people that they buy off with PAC donations and lobbyist donations. And then the membership doesn't get to make real contributions to that process. I'm trying to democratize it.
The bills are being worked on. You just heard Jim Jordan say that they are efforting 4 bills this week, appropriations bills this week, to get through. That would partially fund the government. The defense bill as well. You wanted the defense bill to move forward. Did you not?
Yes, that's why I voted for it, and I voted for the rule to proceed onto it. And by the way, don't give Kevin McCarthy credit for the fact that we're moving on to these 4 appropriations bills. That was the deal that House conservatives foisted upon Kevin McCarthy. When he couldn't just move the big spending bills without moving the bills that cut spending, we said, no, no, no. You have to move bills like the state and foreign ops bill because we don't think we should be borrowing money from China to go fund gay pride parades in Prague or LGBTQ seminars in Indonesia. We don't think that that's a good use of our money. And the only way to do this, Maria, is line by line. Kevin wants it in one big up or down vote, keep the government open, shut it down. I'm saying single subject spending bills. It's the only way to break the fever and liberate ourselves from this out of control spending.
Well, he's doing the 4 bills next week. So
because we're making him. Because we're making him.
But he's doing it. So to push now to blow up all of the wins that you all have had now.
Which wins? Please enumerate them.
Well, okay. Well, how about the fact that he has set up a weaponization committee to investigate the DOJ, whether they're involved in a cover-up?
That's
how about the fact that he has, hold on.
Wait
how
a
about
second.
the fact that he, hold on. How about the fact that he has set up the China Select Committee to keep China to account? And of course, he has launched this inquiry into impeachment, potentially, for President Biden. Is that not what you want?
None of those things are deliverables. Those are steps in a process. Setting up a committee is an end unto itself, only in Washington, D.C. The American people demand results. Hold on, I'll let you talk, Maria.
Go ahead.
These committees have done nothing to reduce inflation. They've done nothing to actually constrain the Biden government. We can set up committees and have hearings and yell at people, but at the end of the day, if we still send the check to fund a weaponized government, having a weaponization subcommittee is little relief to the American people. And if any of this was serious, we would be sending out subpoenas and compelling process the way the January 6th committee did. We should be operating like them. Instead, we're playing patty cake with the Bidens. We're allowing them to get away with it. And we're funding it. We're sending the money. If we were serious, use the power of the purse.
Fiery stuff, but I'm sitting here watching this back and forth, and I actually think Gates is quite capable, and so is Maria. But I'm like, hey, isn't there another chamber up there called the Senate?
The Senate.
So you could have this huge fight. You could even say that Gates and his guys get what they want, and McCarthy gives in, knowing I don't have much margin here for error, get the votes. And then it goes to conference, and the Senate goes, yeah, we're not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where this is going.
That's where it always goes.
Yeah, and with a split Senate, I mean, you're not going to get anything.
He's right. I mean, he's right. We don't need to be funding gay pride parades in Prague, right? But, my issue is conflating two separate issues. You know, like, investigating Hunter Biden and passing a budget. Like, we have an enormous government. If we can't handle two of those things at the same time, we have issues, right?
Absolutely.
How about this? How about this novel idea? Let's do both. Let's pass a budget and let's investigate Hunter Biden.
Well, and I come back to, why are we doing this at the last second? I thought y'all had a process agreed to where we don't have any of these surprises or this last second cramming before a shutdown. So, but here, I got to hit another break. First, this part of the program brought to you by Alabama Home Mortgage. And they're at Alabama Home Mortgage. Kim Williams and her team, well, they're ready to help you with whether you're buying a home, could be your first-time home buyer. I can think of nobody better than Alabama Home Mortgage to walk you through that first-time home buying process from pre-approval all the way to closing day. Or maybe it's not your first time, but you just want to work with somebody who's local, somebody who's earned their reputation, folks that are trustworthy, that will actually sit down with you, get to know you and your goals in buying a home. Or they have great options for refinancing that home of yours, especially if you're a veteran. They're hip to the latest VA home loan program, so if you're a veteran, if you've not taken advantage of these benefits you earn through your service, I believe for veterans you can refinance up to 100% of your home's estimated value. And even if you're not a veteran, they have great refinance deals if you're looking to get credit card debt off your back or any other sort of debt. So check them out today. Give Kim and Madeline a call at 567-4223. That's 567-4223. You can also visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. There is a difference in mortgage companies. Let Kim and Madeline prove that to you today. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender. More news and views in the afternoon after this. Hopefully we'll have Michael Cohen of Cohen's Electronics on the other side of this break.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
It's the 70th Alabama National Fair, October 6th through the 15th. Enjoy the rides, circus, shows, and the food.
I really enjoy munching my way down the Midway. I can just smell all the great food I love. Giant turkey legs, funnel cakes, corn dogs, and anything deep fried.
Get the free Fair app at your app store. Coliseum Clear Bag policy in effect. 17 and under must be accompanied by an adult 21 or over.
It's the best 10 days of fall.
For October 6th through the 15th.
Alabama National Fair.
Sponsored by the Kiwanis Club of Montgomery, Hyundai Motor Manufacturing Alabama, and Coca-Cola.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
All the headlines the mainstream media won't touch. Your News Talk station. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Now, as promised, folks, let's go to Michael Cohen of Cohen's Electronics and Appliances. Hey, Michael, how are you this afternoon?
Hey, Joey, I'm great. How are y'all?
Oh, we're hanging in there. Yeah, all things considered, with Jack Campbell's passing, and it's going to be honestly a rough week. I'm trying to put on a good face here publicly.
Well, I definitely saw his praises all over Facebook this weekend.
Yeah, and I think if anybody wanted it, Jack Campbell would want us to laugh and be merry and have a good time remembering him. So
right,
we're going to shoot for that. But tell us what's going on today there at Cohen's. Is there anything that comes to mind we haven't talked about yet? Maybe new products that have just come in?
I tell you, we've got a really cool chair. It's made by Palliser. You can get it in leather, or a lot of people would prefer to get it in something that looks almost like leather. But it's a lift chair that can almost lay you flat so that you can sleep in it. But it also helps you stand up. So for people that are getting older and having a hard time getting up, this can help get you up, as well as it also has some cool features like it can tilt your head so that you can watch TV and everything. But it's a neat chair, and it doesn't take up a lot of room. So it's not big and bulky. And it doesn't really look like a lift chair, until you push the right buttons to make it lift.
Okay, so it looks amazing. It doesn't have a huge footprint, but it's very functional and you can relax and enjoy whatever it is you're doing.
That's right. And it would fit a big guy, and it would also fit your mom. You know what I mean? Because it's just that kind of chair.
Well, and of course, it's more than chairs. I mean, they do, folks, at Cohen's Electronics and Appliances, amazing theater seating options, including you can go to the massage chairs, but kick butt TVs for whatever space you need, or audio equipment, again, kitchen appliances or washer dryer units. They got it all there at Cohen's, but what they really are known by is their service. They deliver confidence there, and I think that's why y'all been around for 65 plus years, Michael.
Yes, sir. I mean, because, when you think about it, I mean, we've had a lot of big box stores that have come and gone, whether it was the Circuit Cities that came in the 80s, the Rex, Video Concepts, Home Image. There's a lot of them that have come here and a lot of them that have gone. And the biggest thing is, we're working for repeat business, and we don't want to just make one sale. We want to make sales continually to you.
So that number is still 277-8890?
Yes, sir. And you can come see us Monday through Friday. We're there 9 to 6. We're 9 to 4 on Saturdays. And, we just want to help you make the right decision for whatever your needs are.
Well, I appreciate your time as always, Michael. We'll hopefully talk again soon here.
Thank you, Joey. Take care.
Again, 272-9228 if you have a comment, especially about Jack Campbell. And, the news keeps spreading to folks. Henry, how you doing? She says, I don't get to hear you all now that I live in Massachusetts. But did Jack Campbell pass? He did. I remember him having lunch with my late husband, Stephen, and I in Prattville. Sweet, sweet person. Jack loved a good lunch, a good dinner. He really did. And John Kemp says, nice guy and politically astute. I met him once, and he seemed to be a humble and likable fellow, yeah. Well, and he would give you a hard time, too. Absolutely a hard time. Now, another guy's a regular commenter on the live stream, folks. Romex Angler. Good luck with that whole keeping China in check thing. I'll wait to see how that works out. Yeah, I mean, there are moves that can be made by the United States right now that put us in a better position. That's how I think of it. Build up the United States in a particular way, maneuver the United States with folks we should clearly be allies with, like India and a lot of other parts of the developing world. And then from a position of strength and leverage, you can sort of stare down the Chinese on whatever issue you're looking at.
I think it starts by not letting the vice president's son take bribes and,
Well, and it was one of their top spy masters in China who was running their foreign economic interest program.
Yeah.
And Hunter and Joe and Jim Biden, they're all in bed with this guy.
Yeah, it's wild.
And what's amazing to me, my read on the Bidens is, I think the name of the game was, if we can make a deal,
let's do it.
We can do it. Or even if we know that this deal isn't going to fall through, let's milk our business associates, anybody involved with us, for all they're worth.
Yeah.
And like I think Tony Bobulinski, for instance, claims they stole millions and millions of dollars from him.
And that's what we found,
right?
You know, and no matter how deep the investigation goes, I'm not sure we'll ever find everything. But yeah, I mean, keeping China in check. I mean, you got to start with, you know, debolstering their economy.
Right. Now, if you look at China's economy, and this is what gives me another thing gives me hope. China's a basket case.
Yeah.
Like and in fact, I think our economy's gotten worse and more. We've copied China.
Absolutely.
And in particular, China did all these like targeted GDP goals where they'd pass out money or print up a bunch of money, and give it to a regional governor, and be like, you hit this GDP number. I don't care if you're building buildings nobody lives in, or you're, you know, digging up holes and filling them back in again. Just make those GDP numbers pop. We got to prove this to the West. And I think there's been a lot of that going on in the United States, obviously not as extreme as China. But all that said, China has set themselves up for a massive financial time bomb to go off, in particular with the real estate market. And when you're talking about a country of billions of people, it's not, if those, say, a billion of those billions gets upset, good luck governing them.
Yeah. And we don't, like, what a lot of people need to, like, understand is, we don't need catastrophic failure over there, because that's going to cause catastrophic failure globally, right?
Right.
We need to slowly but efficiently and swiftly, though, decrease dependence on Chinese goods.
Right. Absolutely.
It'd be great if we increase dependence on American goods, right? But, you know.
Well, and in particular, these semiconductors, these microchips that are being built mostly in Taiwan, some in South Korea. I believe Vivek Ramaswamy put out a great message the other day saying he sees the CHIPS Act, which in spirit is the right approach, but was a huge boondoggle, again, to special interests.
Yeah.
That we're not getting the bang for our buck, and that's what you need. That's one of the most expensive industries, especially in terms of innovation horizon, like time horizon. Like, it costs you so much money to be on the cutting edge where you're beating everybody else in the sort of chips you're producing.
Yeah.
And the one company in Taiwan is the one ahead of everybody else. And I don't care if you invest tens of billions of dollars in it, you're not going to quite catch up to them. And the question is, do we have the know-how? Do you have the sort of engineers and scientists that can actually make this work? All things I think America can rise up to, but yeah, at least that's one thing Trump did. He changed everybody's mind on China, that's for sure.
He did.
We'll be right back. Final hour of news and views on a Monday after this.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusana, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. Democratic U.S. Senator Bob Menendez of New Jersey is rejecting calls to resign, saying that nearly $500,000 in cash found in his home was from personal savings, not from bribes. He predicted that he would be exonerated in his federal bribery case and would still be New Jersey's senior senator. An indictment alleges Menendez took cash, gold bars, and a luxury car in exchange for using his office to influence policy. A white Texas gunman who killed 23 people in a racist attack on Hispanic shoppers at a Walmart in 2019 has agreed to pay more than 5 million families of the victims. Patrick Crucius, sentenced to 90 consecutive life sentences in July, he still faces a separate trial in a Texas court that could end with him getting the death penalty. This is SRN News.
Donald Trump warned America. The U.S. dollar is under attack, and it's becoming less and less valuable by the day. Hyperinflation and speculation is killing your retirement. Don't leave your money sitting in cash. It's time you diversified and protected your future with physical precious metals. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000 and get your free digital dollar survival kit and learn how you could get up to $1,000 in free silver today. Call Advantage Gold now now at 800-900-8000 to get your free digital dollar survival kit. And you may qualify for $1,000 in free silver. Advantage Gold is the #1 rated gold and silver company in America. Your future is precious. Protect it today when you call Advantage Gold. Call 800-900-8000 now.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Check with your financial advisor before investing.
That's 800-900-8000.
Rich Thomas Weather, a service of Wiley Sanders Truck Lines, where dump truck drivers are in demand. Wiley Sanders is on the grow. We need dump truck drivers now. Call 855-77-9785.
Rich Thomas Weather.
We had a beautiful weekend, but we've got a few weather changes on the way. Not a big deal. Today, another warm day with a high temperature near 90, partial sunshine, at least a small chance of some afternoon or evening showers or thunderstorms. You know, here and there, they will be random. Tonight, slow, not as cool, down to about 69. Upper 80s tomorrow with scattered random storms possible, especially in the afternoon and evening hours. Perhaps a little bit more numerous on Wednesday with a high around 86. And a few leftover showers perhaps on Thursday. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
For the lowest prices around on flooring and DIY flooring installation supplies, Budget Floors and More is your new best friend. Luxury vinyl plank, carpet, ceramic tile, floor installation supplies, and more with prices lower than the big box stores. Budget Floors and More, Hunter Lane across from Del Rey Publix.
1819 News.
Alabama Congressman Robert Adderholt is speaking out about the current negotiations going on in Congress regarding 12 government spending bills that have until the end of September to be voted on before the government faces a shutdown. Seems to think a continuing resolution is still a possibility. However, Republican House member Matt Gaetz has a group of conservative GOP members who say absolutely no to voting for a CR. Adderholt says the situation is fluid and the ultimate end goal is to cut spending in meaningful ways. I'll be back with more Alabama stories after this.
Are you enjoying 1819 News? If so, consider joining 1819 News as a member. As a nonprofit news organization, we depend on the support of Alabamians like you. Memberships start out as little as $5 a month, and you'll get access to exclusive content only offered to our members. You'll be supporting independent journalism done by people who cherish Alabama values. Become a member today by visiting 1819news.com and clicking Become a Member. That's 1819news.com and click Become a Member today.
A former Montgomery police officer is seeking a new trial after a conviction of manslaughter was issued against him in 2019 for the shooting of a man while on patrol. Aaron Cody Smith has filed for a new trial with the Montgomery Circuit Court using an Alabama law that allows for this appeal when more evidence or court issues come to light after the original trial. Two of Alabama's Supreme Court justices wrote opinions about the Smith case when they were asked to consider it from the Court of Criminal Appeals, and both those justices expressed concerns about the omission of evidence in Smith's case, which they said put a question mark on the competency and effectiveness of his legal counsel. The one-time performance of Ballet and the Beast is coming to the Montgomery Zoo. The performance will be this Friday at 6 p.m. and will involve two dance troupes from Troy University and Alabama State, along with the Montgomery Symphony. I'm Andrea Tice.
For more news affecting Alabamians, go to 1819news.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the daily newsletter.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
Hey y'all, this is Tammy at Mama's Produce, and it's a new season here. We're not going anywhere. We'll be here through the fall. We've got all of your tailgate needs. We've got breakfast needs. Don't forget we got new sausages in. Those sausages we had last year, they're back. Still got your tomatoes, other fresh vegetables, and we're going to have some new things coming online, so stay tuned to our Facebook page and look out.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's News and Views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. This just came to mind, and I'm going to share it publicly. You can think what you will about people politically, or you might, their personal life might get out into the open, and you really don't like what they did, and probably have every right to. But it's also interesting when people do things that doesn't get any fanfare. It's not in the spotlight. And I'll just say, one of the few people, there were a few, one of the few people who kind of out of nowhere went and visited Jack Campbell after his stroke when he really was having trouble speaking was, we were just talking about him off air, former Secretary of State John Merrill. And, you can talk again about all the policies, all the politics, folks. Mm-hmm. Don't underestimate looking out for people and caring for folks. And I'll always respect John for what he did for Jack in those tough days, and so many others that have supported Jack behind the scenes. And again, we're getting through the week, commemorating his life. If you have any stories or fond memories of Jack Campbell, 272-9228. Eddie had to run today, but Dalton Dismukes is here across the desk from me. And remind folks of what you do. Yeah.
So I own a political consulting company, run campaigns, Republicans only, conservatives. And, I've been doing that for about 10 years. Love doing it. I like to try. It seems like a never-ending battle, but I'd like to try to get good conservatives elected.
Right.
I'm all day, every day, poll numbers, campaigns, door knockers, stuff like that.
There you go.
The stuff everybody hates.
Yeah, I tried to do that. It wasn't me. Yeah. It just wasn't me.
Actually,
the best part of it was meeting people, like folks you'd never expect, going door to door.
It takes a special kind of psychopath to really like it.
Yeah, exactly. The way you said that, I believe you, Dalton. Let's go to the phones quickly. You're on there. Who's this?
Hey, it's Blair. How are you, Joey?
Hey, Blair. I'm all right. Been better though.
I thought about you first thing when I heard about it this morning. I've just gotten off work. I'm so heartbroken. I love Jack on the radio, and then when he got sick, it broke my heart. And I tried to send him cards sporadically, and I got to see him when he was out. But the first time I met Jack, I was over in Cloverdale, and I heard that Jim Ziegler was with me. We'd graduated from high school together, and he said, "I'm going over to the seafood place. What is it called? What was it called? Over there, Cloverdale. Jubilee." And he said, "I'm going over there." Well, we had gone over to Cloverdale together, and he got in the car with somebody and left me. And I thought, he said, "I'm going to meet somebody that had a stroke." And I said, "Jack Campbell?" And he said, "Yes." So he left me. Well, I just went over, got in my little own car, and I drove over there all by myself and walked in. And you remember that's the first time I saw you, and I sat down and talked to Jack and gave him a kiss and fell in love with him.
Now, I remember that night very well, Blair, and I appreciate you jogging my memory in that regard.
And every time I saw Jack, he was a sweetheart, and I always had to kiss him on the cheek. And he was so sweet to me, and he'd ask about my son when he would see me. So I guess I was kind of shocked. Not really, but I'm just sad about it. I love Jack, and I love you, Joey. You know I love you guys.
Appreciate it, Blair.
I just wanted you to know I was thinking about you.
Oh, love you, too.
And I know you're hurting, but I want to say something. You were so good to Jack. And the people that couldn't do what you did, we appreciate what you did for Jack. And I know you would bring him, and you would go see him, and you'd get him out and all that, and thank you for doing that. Thank you. God bless you for doing that.
Well, he was a friend. He became a friend, so that's what you do for friends.
And you treat him. Absolutely. But you know what? Unfortunately, there's some people that wouldn't when someone's sick, but you were right in there. So God bless you, and thank you, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you, Blair. Really. God bless. 272-9228. Anyway, gonna move past that because honestly, I don't want to ugly cry in front of you folks. Dalton, you psychopath. We were just talking off air about redistricting.
Yeah.
How this might end up, because right now it's very clear that you're going to get a brand new district.
Right.
And so how does this affect folks? Number one, it could be you've got two currently sitting Republican congressmen who have to go head to head.
Yeah, that's a real possibility. I mentioned this to you, and for those listening, if you haven't looked at it, there was a map presented called, I think it was like the Opportunity Map or the Community Opportunity Map. I don't remember the exact name, but it I don't know if that was the one, but there was one map that put Congressman Carl out of Mobile going up against Congressman Moore. Now, let's not forget, you don't have to live in the district that you serve in for Congress. But
you don't?
No,
There's no residency requirement?
Nope. Maxine Waters doesn't live in her district. I don't think Pelosi lives in the district that she serves.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild, man. Yeah, that's a rule. So in theory, you could have two incumbents going up against each other, which, I don't think you see that very often, but...
And that actually can be more dogged knockout drag out than Democrat-Republican fight.
I'll tell you who it puts a lot of stress on is, your DC money, because they've got to pick, right? Some of them will stay out, some of them won't get in, but yeah, it could get ugly.
Now, even if it's favorable, and the districts will be somewhat more favorable to Democrats, depends on what the courts decide, but do we see a Democratic Party in Alabama that is ready to stand up candidates and compete for another congressional district?
That is a great question, and my answer is I don't know. If you've got, the faction of Joe Reed versus the Tabitha Isner wing, no, you don't. But if you have a Democrat Party that is being led by the House Minority Leader Anthony Daniels out of Huntsville, or the Senate Minority Leader Bobby Singleton,
right?
You do. These guys are the real deal, and they'll stand somebody up, and they'll stand them up good.
Well, and where does the former U.S. Senator Doug Jones fall these days? Because I see him on Twitter, and he's very active in the Democratic Party nationally.
I have heard that depending on what happens with Merrick Garland, our current United States Attorney General, that Doug Jones is on a short list for that. So, it seemed to me like the longer he was in the Senate, it feels now like it was 30 minutes, but it's much longer than that, the more liberal he became.
Oh, sure.
Not sure if he was ever not liberal.
Right, yeah.
But I've heard he may very well be on a short list for AG.
Apparently him and Joe Biden go way back.
Yeah.
And so I think that guy could be, at least in Democratic circles, a kingmaker in a large way. I just wonder, maybe he's kind of above the usual, the current cliques.
Democrats in Alabama, party Democrats in Alabama, are really good at burning their own houses down. It's pretty impressive, honestly.
Yeah, and I'm happy. I'm going to continue to reach out to Democrats here in the state because I enjoy my conversations with them because, well, sometimes I get tired of talking to folks I constantly agree with and want to hear the other side. Sometimes, though, it can be infuriating, but I think if you try to have a good conversation in good faith, it usually ends up all right. 272-9228 if you want to get in on the program. That's 272-9228. And speaking of Merrick Garland, I don't know how many... Well, oh, come on. Are they just clipping one portion of this? I'll just read the quote, folks. This is Senator Ted Cruz on a podcast. I just want to read the quote direct. He said, Merrick Garland, from the day he was sworn in, this is Senator Cruz, has demonstrated a contempt for Congress, a contempt for the American people, a smug entitlement that no one is allowed to question him, that he doesn't have to answer any questions. Look, I have questioned Merrick Garland now many times, and he will not answer. He will not give you a straight answer to anything. And so, as the evidence keeps mounting, not just of Joe Biden's personal corruption, but of Merrick Garland's being personally implicated now in multiple felonies, he has not wavered at all from his attitude that seems to say, how dare you question me? He is the legal equivalent of Anthony Fauci. Says, I am the science. Merrick Garland's response is essentially, I am the law. And they're both wrong. Oof.
He's right.
He is right. He's absolutely right. Now, Garland will go on and put up a good face like I'm looking at from last week. I'm not the president's lawyer. So, I mean, we're not explicitly getting a whole Bobby Kennedy thing here, which I went down that rabbit hole last night at kind of the Kennedy's history. I'm like, you pick your brother to be AG?
Right.
And he's like, after your dad steals it for you? Like, crazy. Our politics was absolutely insane. But I think Cruz is right that Garland, well, maybe Garland has the the motivation, because I believe it was McConnell who literally stopped him from being on the United States Supreme Court.
Yeah, he's right. Yeah. I mean, look, this is quickly becoming a pattern, specifically in the Biden administration. Mayorkas, Garland, I mean, everybody at the Department of Education, they don't answer questions.
Right.
They come there, they sit there for Pete Buttigieg, sat there for 6 hours, virtually said nothing.
Buttigieg is not. Since he's gone to D.C. to network and get, he is, I think his stock is dropped.
He is, I don't
see him.
He might have gotten a little bit of the flame when, him and his partner were jet setting on the taxpayers' dime to vacations, and might have felt the heat there.
Well, my favorite thing from that whole cycle is when it was a photo of Pete Buttigieg and his partner or husband, Chasten, I believe is the guy's name. And they're like up on stage after he's done with the speech, and you can see Pete's hand on his back, on his shoulder, on Chasten's shoulder, and they're waving. And some Yale professor wrote, "This is so white that it's straight." I'm like, I don't think that way, but Looney Tunes Land sounds like a lot of fun. We can just make stuff up all of a sudden. But no, I think right now we're starting to see that with Biden just almost underwater. Like the guy, it's worse and worse every time I see him. It's gotten to the way it's not even funny. It's just like somebody.
Sad.
Yeah. Who put Pop up to this? He is not doing well at all.
The fact that he is legitimately running again.
Right.
I mean, I don't understand it.
But because of his problems, Biden's problems, the health, the age, the personal corruptions being exposed, now is the time for Democrats to start, and they're doing it somewhat. Okay, who are we going to replace him with? And what's interesting to me is so many of the folks who ran in that last Democratic primary, Kamala Harris, I mean, there's some Kamala fans, but most folks, Democrat, Republican, are like, she's not good at this.
Yeah.
She must have a heck of an inside game. I'll give her that. Like media contacts, money, I don't know what it is, because her speechifying and presentation is just lackluster. But you don't hear that much about Pete Buttigieg either.
Right.
You thought, oh, this is the gay Obama, so to
it's
speak.
like it's all Gavin Newsom now, it seems like.
Yes, it does seem all Gavin Newsom all the time.
Him and DeSantis are debating on Fox. Sean Hannity's going to moderate it.
Oh.
That'll be fun.
Is Sean going to wear a muzzle? Because I respect Hannity, but I can't watch his show.
Right.
He didn't listen to Roger Ailes' advice. The best questions are one or two words. Yeah, they're not long-winded diatribes like we do here on talk radio. But, I mean, we'll see how it shakes out. I would have respected the Republican House, the McCarthy House, a lot more if instead of impeaching, we're doing a Biden impeachment inquiry, go after Garland, go after Mayorkas, and actually have something good on him. Here's the deal. Not everybody is going to go up there and be Mr. Smith. Like, Mr. Smith goes to Washington. Well, number one, because you ain't Mr. Smith. Most of you aren't that wholesome. Number two, you don't often have a cause you truly believe in. So whether it's like you got some powerful person on corruption, dead to rights, or you have a cause that you're willing to stand and tell the rest of the world to go jump in a lake, that's when you can be Mr. Smith.
Right.
Instead of all this fake theater, as we were saying earlier, I think, for instance, Coach Tuberville has had a bit of a Mr. Smith goes to Washington moment and his hold on the military. And I think you could find something on, say, Mayorkas that would be
just
plain
about
as
to say
day.
that. Yeah, Mayorkas is prime for the picking right now. Let's go after him. I mean, saying he's derelict in his duty is a woeful understatement.
Yeah.
How many illegal border crossings last week? Like 500,000 or 200,000? Yeah. I mean that.
It's a little over 2 million that have crossed just this last fiscal year.
That's
insane.
I mean, it is.
And it's not compassionate in the sense that, like, when I think about this issue, I really don't blame that person who's poor in Venezuela, who's being hounded by drug cartels and all the other things going on in their country, saying, hey, I'd like to get into America. I could understand why that person's doing that all day long. But then you add to that, okay, it's not just that person, it's literal terrorists now, or from all over the world are starting to see, oh, this is an easy way to get into the country. The cartels just keep coming back and forth. They act like their border doesn't even exist.
Right.
For them, it really doesn't. And then you add those groups together, what you get is the cartels and these international influence. You better believe there's a lot of Russian and Chinese money being dropped in there. That they're actually preying upon a lot of these migrants trying to get to America. Yeah. So we're turning on this big green light to get everybody to come here, and it's creating human trafficking, massive drug trafficking problems. I think massive violence. Yeah, I love hearing when Vivek's like, oh, we got to take on Mexico. I think I've heard Senator Britt talk about this in a pretty big way, that we might have to take on Mexico in a military sense before too long. DeSantis has been that way. I'm sure Trump would be all about it. One thing I'm a little bit apprehensive about, I don't know this for a fact, it's just a feeling, is if we start going to war with the cartels, how many fronts do they have in your backyard?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It gets dangerous quick.
Yeah. I think we're already there in a very dangerous situation. We just, right now, it's sort of tamped down. And I've called it for months, or now years, a quiet war. Mm-hmm. Sort of the quiet war south of the border. And we'll see where all of it goes. But 272-9228. Let's go to line 1. You're on there. Who's this?
Red Top. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Hey, Red Top.
Morning.
And Jack Campbell was such a nice guy. I finally got to meet him after talking to him on the radio for years at that party. Was for Scott and them.
Yeah.
And
that was your first time meeting him?
Well, yes, because I've been talking to him on the radio for years and years and years. And we had a lot of friends in common. I think Jack was, how old is Jack?
I think he was right there on 70, I believe.
Yeah, okay. So I knew he was almost my age, because we knew tons of people in common. And what was nice about Jack is he was a normal gay guy that you could talk to. It's the kind of people that were my customers and all that, not all the weirdos. I always wanted to ask Jack after he got off the air what he thought of all these people. I imagine they scared the hell out of him, too.
Well, I had many a long conversation about that topic. Some I'm not going to share publicly because it's personal.
I know that, but I really enjoyed him, and he was really very much a person of my generation. So we had a lot of views in common. Now, what's happening to the United States is exactly Joe Biden might as well be Angela Merkel, guys. He's running a Merkel government. Let everybody in. Let's have everything as socialist as possible.
And we'll power this economy on windmills and solar panels. Yeah, that'll work out.
Yes. And I mean, great. I know the Dutch are great, and they've been doing that for a long time, but the Dutch are smarter. But the Dutch are way damn smarter than that. But, you know, they keep talking about the human traffickers are just like the people that sell fentanyl. For some reason, no government can stop these people. That's complete BS, guys. They know who they are. They know where they're going. They know where they're picking the people up. They are just letting it happen. It's like fentanyl. It's not even Schedule 1. So is it a problem or not?
Oh, fentanyl's a massive problem.
Yeah.
Okay, so how come fentanyl is not on the number 1 and marijuana is? And,
it's probably because it's new. I'm wondering if it's even scheduled.
Fentanyl was invented the year I was born, 1953. Been around a long damn time, fellas. And it's been used in hospitals everywhere in the world all day long. So it's just like heroin. It's an opioid. So they can, there's no effort to stop it, Democrat or Republican. The Republicans have had a chance to do immigration, and since you have a political consultant on there, why don't you enlighten me what the hell's going on? I appreciate it. Roll Tide, go Trump.
Thank you for that diplomatic question. What the hell's going on?
That's a great question.
I don't know.
That's a really good question.
No, the fentanyl thing, maybe it was invented that long ago, but
it is. I think what you meant when you said it was new. It is new to most people.
Yeah.
Right? Like
in the way it's being used,
because it's so widespread now.
Right.
That it's like weed. Weed's been around forever.
And I think the reason weed is still scheduled it was the politics of the 60s. A lot of Nixon aides have essentially copped to this as part of our strategy to demonize, certain behavior in certain folks. It was part of that whole silent majority against the hippies. And hey, by the way, the hippies were incredibly dirty. I think there's a great George Harrison story where he went to Haight-Ashbury and he's like, these thinking, open-minded people, music. He's like, no, they're just awful drug addicts.
Yeah.
Like, this is not good, and it didn't end well. But I think a lot didn't actually get realized, and the opiate crisis has just gotten worse and worse and worse and worse. And it starts, I think, actually with legal pharmaceuticals and those being abused, and now the reason this is being pumped into the country is clearly to kill people.
Yeah.
The guy I was trying to think of, Kurt Angle. Big wrestler.
Yeah, I remember him.
And of course, he literally won a gold medal in amateur wrestling with a frickin' broken neck. He was on Joe Rogan recently. Described that story. In order to fight with a broken neck in the Olympics, they just shot him up with Novocaine in the spot, and he just went. The next day, it was the most miserable pain he's ever been in.
Right.
But he got to the point, because he was always in pain with his bad neck, he recently, I think last week, told Rogan this, that he got to where he was popping per month 700 something Lortabs.
That's crazy.
Like, he's taking handfuls in the morning, handfuls in the middle of the day, and then he's like trying to wean off this, and he at one point he's got fentanyl patches, and he thinks, well, I don't want to do the whole thing, so let me cut it in half and slap it on there. And he calls his doc, and doc's like, don't do that. Those are time released. If you cut it, you're going to get the full dose and you'll die. And I think a lot of that's going on, where it's just like these new products come out, how to deliver this stuff, and people don't follow it to a T, and they end up dead.
Yeah. Have you seen Painkiller on Netflix?
Mm-mm.
You should watch it.
Okay.
It's all about this. Talks about Oxycontin.
Mm-hmm.
And like the start of that, it's really good. You should watch
it. They knew that there were problems.
Yeah. And like the reps, which, I mean, look, there's the entire system of pain management. Not everybody's bad,
Yeah.
And some people really. My dad needed some of this, know, but they were incentivized to essentially get people hooked on it and keep them on it.
Well, and I find it baffling. Like, folks are like, why would people do drugs? I'm like, because a lot of people are miserable, and in the moment they do work.
Yeah.
But then they don't work as well. And they don't work as well. And then your whole life, Engel described this. It's incredibly tribal in the country. Your whole life becomes procuring and using the drug.
It's an escape. It's a method to escape whatever is currently happening in a new reality.
Yeah, I heard that the folks who came up with like Oxycontin and all this sort of stuff, they essentially knew that it would be highly addictive and create all sorts of awful side effects, including up to death. And they were able to get the FDA. I think the story is they put some guy up in a hotel who was the main FDA guy not wanting to approve it. And he came out after some trip with them and said, well, it's believed to be non-addictive. They didn't say it is non-addictive. It's believed to be non-addictive.
Yeah.
And then it's the incentives pushed on doctors. Hey, come hang out with our long-legged 25-year-old. Do you know she was Mrs. New Mexico, actually? And here, we'll pay for your dinner and all this stuff. And by the way, when your patients come in, make sure they use our product.
Yeah.
And it became this whole industry. So I don't know how to make heads or tails of it, other than, like a lot of our systems in this country, they're kind of old, they're kind of defunct. They were not set up in a very rational, conscious way often. And so you've got this hodgepodge of different power plays and crony deals that you let a system like that run for 100 years. Corruption will always be in place. Crony deals will always be there. But you let that build up over 100 years, you're going to get a nasty, nasty outcome, including tens of thousands of Americans dead within a year from this sort of stuff. So the border is just one part of it.
Yeah.
You start adding what we legally do here in the country, it's even worse. But I got to hit another break. 272-9228. This part of the program brought to you by River Region Contracting. And they're at River Region Contracting, the premier roofing contractor here in the River Region. They can help you whether you have an asphalt or a metal roof. You know, those either should be inspected every 3 to 5 years for basic preventative maintenance. But maybe you got inspected last year and all the storms this year made you a little nervous. You don't want to climb up there yourself. Just call up River Region Contracting, 356-8635. And you don't have to worry. If you don't have a problem, they're going to say you're good to go. And you're not on the hook for any money. It's free. Their inspections are free. And if they do find a problem, their estimates are also free. And they're also accurate, by the way, folks. So whether it's, again, an asphalt or a metal roof, have River Region Contracting come out. Free inspection, free estimate, and they're also insurance specialists. So if they do find a problem your insurance might cover, they can walk you through that claims process, make it a swift and easy experience. Not the usual story when you think about insurance claims, but they're that good there at River Region Contracting, the premier roofing contractor here in the area. So give them a call again, 356-8635, 356-8635, and be sure to tell that team there, well, that Joey from News and Views in the afternoon sent you. We'll be right back.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now I'm hitting the road with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months. And Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state, while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com. This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is #1 in the #2 business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
We get Montgomery talking 24 hours a day. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back, folks. The news and views in the afternoon. I'm your host, Joey Clark. 272-9228. Now, I believe that I saw, if I can pull this up here and fly, because it just came to mind this morning. It was a clip from the end of last week. People have been asking, where's Senator Britt? And especially with all this fanfare in Politico and in corporate media. And honestly, I thought it was a well-earned piece. Didn't love the framing and the premise, but in terms of what they said about Alabama's junior senator, I'm like, yeah, it seems like the person I know. She, I believe, was at a press conference about the border. And for folks who are wondering, this is mostly what she's been up to, is on appropriations and Homeland Security in particular, with a focus on
I want to thank Senator.
So what I want to do is actually share this clip. This is from last week, in Alabama Crimson, all straight up. Good look. And let's listen in to Senator Britt on the border.
Haggerty for getting all of us together, and also want to encourage everyone who hasn't read his op-ed to do so. It clearly lays out what President Biden's intentions are, and it is not to secure the border. It is to rather further continued migration into this nation, into a space where it is unsustainable. If you look back over his administration, there have been 2.3 million people that have come here. Guys, you need to put that in perspective. So Alabama is the 24th largest state in the nation, and that is about half of our population of 5 million. If you look, that was the last fiscal year alone. If you look at the total compilation to this point in his administration, we're at about 7 million. To what you heard from earlier from my colleagues, we're hitting over 9,000 migrants at our border a day. At the current rate, we will hit 3 million in this next fiscal year alone. That's over 10 million migrants who have come here illegally, cross our border during President Biden's tenure. Now listen, we've got to put real policies in place that make change. We've got to secure our border. You heard Senator Ernst talk about the unused portions of the border that we have all seen. Listen, President Biden knows that walls work because he's building one around his beach house in Delaware, quite secure, but yet not affording everyday Americans that same respect. We've got to do more. You heard Senator Capito talk about 6 million people being in our interior right now under ICE. We only have 6,000 ICE agents, guys. That's where we need to be investing our money, not in NGOs, where we create a shinier object for the drug cartels to use to lure people here. What's happening is we've created an environment where human traffickers, drug cartels, and terrorists rule the day. Over 844 people died at the border last year, and you all read the story about an 8-year-old drowning. As a mom, that is completely and totally gut-wrenching and unacceptable. I have talked to women who have not just told me that they were raped, but they've told me how many times a day they were raped at the hands of the drug cartels.
Oh my God.
You look at the drug cartels and what they've done with fentanyl in every community around this great nation. Last year alone in Alabama, we had to use Narcan 15 times the first 2 months of our school year because of overdoses on campus. There is a mom, a dad, a brother, a sister, a cousin that is sitting around a dining room table tonight that is missing somebody because President Biden will not do his job. And then you look at terrorists. The numbers here don't lie, guys. Look at the last administration. The last administration and that total time span of those 4 years. Do you know how many people we found on the wanted terrorist watch list at the border? 8. Do you know how many people on the terrorist watch list that we have caught at the border in the last fiscal year alone? And we're not finished yet. 244. Because of President Biden's disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, he has created a hotbed of terrorism, and now the American people are paying the price. We must do something, and I commend my colleagues for standing here once again, and we just hope our other colleagues on the other side of the aisle will wake up, join forces, and do something for the American people. Our children are counting on it.
Again, that's Senator Katie Britt. Last week, it was either Thursday or Friday of last week. A lot of folks ask me all the time, Dalton, where is she? And I'm like, well, she posts stuff like that, so.
Governing.
Yeah. But, no, welcome anytime on this show. Been actually looking forward to that, but it hasn't happened yet somehow. I don't know what's going on there. 272-9228. This part of the program brought to you by New Look Decorating Center. And they're at New Look Decorating. Well, they can help you, whether you're looking to do it yourself or contract out a big paint job, or maybe you're looking to restain a deck. They have those high-quality Benjamin Moore paint and stain supplies there at New Look Decorating Center. And if also you're interested in wallpaper fabrics, go see Katie. Katie is the wallpaper and fabric specialist there at New Look Decorating. In particular, if you're looking for those very popular Tebow wallpaper products, Katie there at New Look Decorating Center can help you. But whether it's Katie or Jordan or Brett Lennon, the manager, Brian Carr, the owner, that entire team, they're ready to assist you, give you tips and tricks so you do it yourself the right way the first time, or maybe you don't know who to hire for a big job. They can advise you in that regard. They're a 40-year institution here in Montgomery. Local. You got to support local business, and you're not just supporting the local Montgomery economy, you're supporting the larger Alabama economy. One of Benjamin Moore's largest plants is right here in Alabama, in Pell City, Alabama. So check out New Look Decorating today. You can always call them at 271-0007 or go to newlookdecoratingcenter.com. But I really encourage you to stop by 6237 Atlanta Highway here in Montgomery, right where Bell Road dead ends to Atlanta Highway. You'll see it there in all its glory. Benjamin Moore's New Look Decorating Center. And be sure to tell them, well, you heard about him here on News and Views in the afternoon.
Not know whether he's coming or going. But whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings, 6 till 9, and afternoons, 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
Kickback Ranch and Event Center wants you to join us October the 28th from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. for our annual Frontier Days and Fall Festival. Enjoy live foraging demonstrations and the way life used to be. Face painting, small animals, games, bounce houses, water activities for the kids. Vendors, food trucks, boot walk for cancer, give blood with Life South, and enjoy live music featuring bluegrass with the Southern Gentlemen. The Kickback Ranch annual Frontier Days, October the 28th from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Admission is $5. Call 286-4140 or go to kickbackranch.net. Be there.
Hello, this is Yasmin Hostin with Beauty and Beyond. We've been advertising with Blue Water Broadcasting for 10 years plus. If you would like to increase your business, use Blue Water Broadcasting radio stations. They get results.
Radio works. It's as simple as that. Call us to find out how radio can work for your business. Blue Water Broadcasting. Local folks helping local business.
The Health and Wealth Show. The Health and Wealth Show. The show so nice, we said it twice. Weekday evenings at 6 on News Talk 93.1 WACV. The Health.
Break it up, son. Joke's over here.
The Rich Thomas Weather Network, brought to you by Montgomery Paint and Body. From a little fender bender to total body repair, MPB will fix it good as new, maybe better. For over 35 years, the Turner family has been getting you back on the road. Call 279-7325.
Rich Thomas Weather.
We had a beautiful weekend, but we've got a few weather changes on the way. Not a big deal. Today, another warm day with a high temperature near 90, partial sunshine, at least a small chance of some afternoon or evening showers or thunderstorms. You know, here and there, they will be random. Tonight, slow, not as cool, down to about 69. Upper 80s tomorrow with scattered random storms possible, especially in the afternoon and evening hours. Perhaps a little bit more numerous on Wednesday with a high around 86, and a few leftover showers perhaps on Thursday. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
CB&S Bank has a long history of stability and a legacy of serving our community's needs for generations since we began in 1906. At CB&S Bank, we're here for you. All loans subject to credit approval, member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Do you have a cell phone or tablet that isn't charging, dying fast, or maybe the screen is damaged? Don't get suckered into buying a new one. XI Repair can fix your current device same day and in under 30 minutes. Their certified technicians fix and recover data from thousands of cell phones, computers, tablets, game consoles, and drones 7 days a week. Give them a call today at 334-777-1234 or visit them online at xirepair.com.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
If it concerns your community, you'll hear about it on News Talk 93.1. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. Closing out the show here today. And as is tradition, we have Ray Bowles of Brattville Carpet. Hey, Ray, how you doing?
Man, I'm doing good. Just walked in the door from Birmingham.
Well, that's good. Wait, were you doing business up there?
Well, yes and no. Uncle Hamp's got a 2004 Volkswagen convertible Bug that he wants to sell.
Okay.
But I love Hamp. He's an extremely good lawyer. Do anything for him, but the last thing he needs to do at 80 years old is trying to sell a old Volkswagen Bug. And so I said, no, let me come get it. We'll put it on the parking lot and sell it for you. I don't want people knocking on his door.
Goodness gracious. So you're looking out for family here today.
Not in Birmingham. I'm like, Hamp, you're going to get killed up there doing that.
Well, good looking out. I think you've got that street smarts, I believe.
Yeah, so if you're in a market for a little Volkswagen Bug, it actually drives really well because I was going like 105 all the way back. It was screaming. I don't think it's ever been drove quite that hard. It did wonderful. I just want to make sure I didn't sell a lemon to somebody. We'll make you a really good deal on it. So today we're selling cars. Tomorrow we're going to sell a floor. And we've got tons of stuff in stock ready to go we can put in into this week or first of next week for you.
And that number's still 285-8117?
It is. And call us today if you're interested in the Volkswagen Bug convertible.
There you go. And also, when you call 285-8117, be sure to tell those folks over there that you heard Ray here on News and Views with Joey.
Guys, y'all have a great day.
Appreciate it. 272-9228. Oh, no, more incoming, apparently, on Vivek Ramaswamy. Some Yale guy was focusing on some of the trades he's made over the years as suspicious. I don't know what to think. We were just talking off mic that cancel culture and, like, if you rise in this world, I don't even have to be politics, you better watch out.
Yeah. I mean, talking about Jack today.
Yeah.
The dude was like complete opposite of cancel culture, which is what people loved about him.
Right.
But
Amen.
It's so infuriating, It's this groupthink bullcrap. You have to think my way or, I'm just going to ruin your life.
Right. And then, it can be some of the most powerful people in the world. The beautiful thing is they didn't. They tried to cancel Joe Rogan.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't.
Elon Musk.
Tried to.
Yeah.
Haven't yet. They're going to keep working on that guy.
Yeah. He's got a way.
I think, by the way, look at how many billions he lost. Well, it might not work out, but I think Elon's onto something there.
Yeah.
And there's a reason he rebranded that company X, and I think he's got a lot ready to go. When X, formerly Twitter, starts taking on things like Lightning Network Bitcoin payments, and then you can actually shop on there too, just get ready. I think that it's going to become a one-in-all app, so to speak. But yeah, the cancel stuff. One guy I really love, he's in comedy, is Shane Gillis. And he was
coming.
a victim of that.
He's coming.
Yeah. I believe we got tickets.
Already bought my ticket, man.
Yeah, I'll be
He
there.
is so funny.
Oh, he's freaking hilarious. And that's why Lorne Michaels and SNL, let's hire the guy.
Yeah.
They announce it the day as they announce it, Shane's going to do shows at night, and he's getting messages of, you said what on a podcast? He's like, oh, no.
Here it comes.
He got hired and fired within like a couple of days because of the cancel culture. And thank God now we live in a world where Shane Gillis is a household name now.
Yeah, yeah.
Huge Netflix, second big comedy special it is.
So funny.
And he nails it. He's about our age. He's about in our age group. And when he starts talking about Fox News dads and, what's the one line? They use it on a lot of the previews. He's like, let me tell you guys, I'm a little bit of a history buff, which, by the way, is kind of like saying I'm an early onset Republican.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
you know,
accurate.
his Trump impression, spot on.
Oh.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's he's fantastic. But you see all these folks, and so maybe we're reaching a different day where canceling doesn't necessarily work that
right.
well. Like you'll be kicked out of the cool kids club,
sure,
but you'd still make a great living, have a great following, and enjoy your life. And to me, that's a healthy thing. I wonder the folks that have run the cool kids club for decades now, and it changes, leadership changes. I wonder how they feel about this. I think it explains why our news is so shrill.
Yeah.
I think that goes a long way to explaining it.
I agree. I think the college age, like when you go to college, that's where, it kind of comes to the forefront. That's where, when you mess up, because that's groupthink central there.
Oh yeah. Good luck. See, I've been a loner. I'm naturally a loner. So it's like, I guess you can cancel me. I don't know who's going to notice.
There's pleasantry in loneliness.
Yeah, there are worse things than being alone, but most folks don't realize that until it's too late, and there's nothing worse than being too late.
That's true.
Well, I appreciate all the comments starting yesterday and today, all the love being spilled out there for Jack Campbell and for those he knew well. I really appreciate it, folks. Like I said at the beginning of the show, Jack became a close friend. Again, it didn't make sense on paper. He's like 30 years my senior. I've always been the consummate outsider. I kind of want to be that outsider and not on the inside of the political game. Jack was for a long time the consummate insider to that game. There are a lot of reasons we shouldn't have been friends, but we were at the end of the day. And you realize that, you can always share something that doesn't have to be politics. So he taught me a lot there. It could be something like, hey, let's have a laugh, let's have a drink, let's enjoy life, because you never know when you're going to go. And I'll miss him. I'll never forget that fella right there.
Yeah.
Never will. And it looks like we've still got about 2 minutes left on the show. So today we've learned that Jack Campbell, affected a lot of lives. Again, we're going to have the funeral. That has been confirmed at 2 o'clock. Funeral mass at 2 o'clock at St. Peter's Catholic Church in downtown Montgomery on Friday. 2 o'clock on Friday at St. Peter's. And we're trying to put together something after that funeral mass where people can get together, maybe have a beverage or two, and start telling old Jack Campbell stories. And we learned that we've got some pretty capable, I think, senators, both our senior and junior senator in the U.S. Senate. And that we seem to be heading in the right direction, though. Also, this goes back to our conversation about theater. There's a lot of posturing, a lot of everybody getting ready, but it feels like the table is not fully set for 2024 by any means.
It's not.
Yeah, so I don't know exactly where this is going, but let's see who this is on line one. You're on there. Who's this?
2 words. Well, damn.
Thank you.
Concise.
Yeah. When Jack had his stroke, he started to relearn words, how to say them. The first ones that came back were those 4-letter ones you can't say on the radio. He said, and the nurse was like, well, you got those down. And you're like, I'm never going to forget those. But I appreciate your time today, Dalton.
Man, love being here. Everybody's going to miss Jack.
Right. Yeah.
It's rough.
It is, but we got to soldier on. Life goes on.
That's right.
Y'all stay tuned. Happy Hour with Greg Bidell. He's next.